plated gold. I'll offer you $20. And the other one, and he's like, this one, there's no markings. It's worthless. Like,
can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, at least offered me 50. No open tomorrow, and apparently I get off work way too late for them, so I guess I'll wait till Tuesday. Okay, that's all. I wanted to keep you off.
Everyone can hear me.
The same issue I was having.
You hear Izzy?
Yeah.
Possibly, Doc. Possibly. Julie, say something that
Help!
works.
Help.
Hmm.
Please
Hey,
hold on.
he's
We are
trying to
still
fix
having
it.
technical difficulties. The fucking Penguins lose, stole my fucking Red Bull. We're fucked for a minute. Please hold. I'm so sorry. I didn't know if talking would fuck something up, so I'm just like sitting here going, "Oh, okay." Hey everybody, how's it going? How's everybody's weekend going? Did you get the rain? Because we got the fucking rain. We weren't supposed to get rain today. I just want to put that out there. We were not supposed to get rain today. We ended up with a stray shower that made me go run outside to find out if I rolled up my windows because I couldn't remember if I rolled up my windows. From where I left out from the house yesterday. News on the back hall floor. It is in the process of being repaired. No, I did not go through it before anybody asked. The one-eyed gremlin has emerged to fix the floor, and in the process, decided to start working at around 2:30, almost 3 o'clock. So if you guys hear banging or anything in the background, I am perfectly fine, but the hammer might slip and I might giggle. You're you're not dumb. What do? We are a writing group.
Test. Can you hear me now?
Anybody? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Can also hear everything in my background because my mic has no suppression.
Fine.
Okay. Now it has suppression.
Jit said it was ambient music for. Okay.
So you guys should only hear me now, not background noise. And you can hear. What do you mean, sorta? I need to know what that means. You hear some of the background when you talk.
Only when you talk.
Oh, gotcha.
But don't bump.
Okay, how about that? See, live troubleshooting. Better. Perfect. I'm not touching shit. It's staying like this. Okay.
It's like no touchy touchy.
We have a wheel. We have a screen with people on it. Izzy, speak. Except I don't hear you in Discord either.
God.
To do.
Oh, I heard you
There
there.
we go.
Nobody sneezed.
Okay. We got Izzy,
Choo.
Julie, Cash, and me. All right. Anybody need to say
Sure.
anything before I spin the wheel before shit breaks?
No, I think we're good. I think we're just gonna like gloss over. If you are new here, please stay to the end. Otherwise, sit back for a great night and nobody touch anything. And whoever catches that fucking penguin, just just love him, feed him sardines, and then kick him in the ass a couple times. Okay, like there we go.
Okay. Spinning the wheel.
Spinning the wheel.
Nathan Stark.
Of course, we're gonna start on.
Close that. Bring it over here so that I can see people. I have spawn.
Oh, what was the total word for this word count for this week? Hold on one second.
Oh,
20K.
Literally 43 words over 20,000. And we are literally 46 words or 4,600 words from 500,000 read out on the show.
I didn't mean to break it. I fixed it. Okay. Well, I said don't touch anything.
Jokes are on par tonight.
Am I reading? Is that what I'm getting?
On strangers.
Oh, okay. I will read it. Okay. Don't let go. I'm gonna have to turn or take my headphones off because I can hear myself, and that's how you guys hear me as I turn on an echo. So, anyway, don't let go. Part 1. The book that knew. Nathan, why are you starting us off like this? As the door creaked open, Noah Bennett wished he'd locked it earlier. The old oak door of dormitory Hall C eased inward with a long, tired groan that echoed through the silent hallway. Rain tapped steadily against the narrow window at the end of the corridor, each drop catching the orange glow of the campus streetlights before disappearing into the darkness below. It was nearly 2 in the morning. Everyone else on campus was asleep. At least, that's what Noah assumed. Sleep had become something other people did. For Noah, nights had become battlefields. Marywood Christian University rested quietly in the rolling hills of eastern Tennessee, surrounded by thick forests that seemed to swallow every sound after sunset. During the day, the campus buzzed with students laughing between classes, professors discussing theology over coffee, and athletes racing across the practice field. At night, if left abandoned, it felt abandoned. Noah stepped inside his room and froze. The desk lamp was on. He knew he'd turned it off. His roommate, Luke, had driven home for the weekend after football practice. Noah had watched him leave 6 hours earlier. The room should have been empty. Instead, something rested on his desk. A book. Not just any book. A thick, worn, hardcover textbook with faded navy cloth binding and gold lettering almost rubbed away by time. Counseling the Humankind. No author, no publisher, no edition number. Just the title. Noah frowned. That's weird. He crossed the room cautiously. His psychology professor had never assigned this book, neither had his counseling class. The cover felt surprisingly warm beneath his fingertips, almost alive. He opened the first page. There was no copyright page. Instead, handwritten words covered the paper in neat black ink. To Noah. His stomach tightened. Below it, "You don't know it yet. Or, you don't know me yet." He laughed nervously. Very funny. Someone had to be messing with him. Probably Luke. He flipped another page. Chapter 1. Panic doesn't mean you're dying. His smile disappeared. The chapter described symptoms Noah had never told another person. Chest tightening, hands shaking, losing feeling in his fingertips, thinking every heartbeat would be the last. He swallowed hard. Only his therapist knew those details. Even then, not all of them. He kept reading. The chapter wasn't clinical, it was personal, almost gentle, like someone sitting beside him in the middle of the night. Halfway down the page, another sentence caught his attention. Tomorrow morning, you will have another panic attack outside Henderson Hall at exactly 9:17. Noah frowned. What? He checked his phone. Friday. Noah shook his head. No. Someone had researched it. Had to. He slammed the book shut. His reflection stared back at from the black television screen across the room. Except, it smiled. Noah wasn't smiling. His breath caught. He blinked. The reflection matched him again. I'm tired. That's all it was. 3 nights without sleep. His therapist had warned him. Hallucinations could happen with enough exhaustion. He left the book on the desk and climbed into bed. Sleep never came. Morning arrived, wrapped in gray clouds. Students hurried across campus carrying umbrellas and coffee. Noah walked slowly toward Henderson Hall, trying not to think about the book, trying not to think about page 23, trying not to look at his phone. 9:16 a.m. This is ridiculous. He laughed under his breath. Nothing was. Pain exploded across his chest. His breathing stopped. His vision narrowed. The familiar terror crashed over him like a tidal wave. Not again. Not here. His knees buckled. Students hurried past without noticing. His fingers tingled. His heartbeat thundered inside his ears. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't. Noah! A voice cut through the panic. Professor Evelyn Carter hurried down the sidewalk. Look at me. He couldn't. Look at me. He forced himself to focus. Breathe with me. In, out, again, again. Several agonizing minutes later, the attack faded. Professor Carter handed him a bottle of water. You've been carrying too much. He nodded weakly. How did you know? She smiled gently. I've seen that look before. She had no idea. Neither did he. Because the book had predicted every second. Exactly. That night, he opened it again. Another page had appeared. Good. You survived today. His hands trembled. What are you? He turned another page. Tomorrow's lesson. Another prediction. Another warning. Another passage of scripture. Fear not, for I am with you. Tears unexpectedly filled his eyes. He hadn't opened his Bible in months. Not because he didn't believe, but because he felt forgotten. The words on the page felt different, like someone knew exactly how empty he'd become. Over the next week, the impossible became routine. The textbook predicted everything. Which classmates would argue, which quiz questions would cancel class, when Noah would struggle, when he would cry, when he'd feel like giving up. Most disturbing, it always knew the verses he needed before he knew he needed them. Slowly, almost against his will, hope returned, little by little, one breath at a time. Saturday evening, Luke returned. You look better? I feel different. Luke spotted the mysterious textbook. New class? No. Noah quickly closed it. What book? Luke asked. The one you're holding. Luke frowned. You're not holding anything. Silence. Noah looked down. The heavy textbook still rested firmly in his hands. He could... Oh, I'm sorry, I read that backwards. Anyway, the heavy textbook still rested in his hands. He could feel every page, every corner, every ounce of weight. Luke looked genuinely confused. Noah? His pulse quickened. You seriously can't see it? Luke shook his head. The room suddenly felt colder. The next night, Noah couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him. He wandered into the communal bathroom to splash water in his face. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. He looked into the mirror. His reflection stared back. Then, it blinked. Half a second late. Noah froze. The reflection smiled. He didn't. Then, it reached into his pocket, pulled out the same mysterious textbook, opened to a page Noah had never seen. Before he could read it, the lights flickered. Darkness. When they came back on, the reflection matched him perfectly. No book, no smile, nothing. Noah stumbled backwards. His breathing accelerated. The first chapter echoed through his mind. Panic doesn't mean you're dying. He repeated the words aloud until his heartbeat slowed. 3 days later, Luke burst into their dorm room. I locked myself out of the maintenance shed. So? My drone's inside. The equipment manager isn't answering. Luke grinned. I have no idea. He picked up an old landscaping brick sitting outside the window. Noah stared. Luke shrugged. Well, a brick is a guest key anywhere. Against Noah's better judgment, they walked across campus. The brick shattered the small window. Luke reached inside and unlocked the door. See? But as Noah stepped inside, his heart stopped. Sitting on a dusty shelf was another copy of the textbook. This one looked brand new across the cover. Someone had written in silver marker, Volume 2, and underneath, 3 words. You're almost ready. I don't know if I'm supposed to continue because this says part 2, but I think we're still below the word count, so we continue. Part 2, the one who held on. The words, you're almost ready, seemed to pulse beneath the fluorescent lights of the maintenance shed. Noah couldn't move. Luke walked past him, rummaging through shelves for his drone battery without giving the second textbook so much as a glance. You coming? Luke called. Noah pointed toward the shelf. You don't see that? Luke looked exactly where Noah was pointing. The rake? No, the book. What book? His stomach dropped. There it was again. Luke couldn't see it. Noah slowly reached for the second textbook. The moment his fingertips brushed the cover, the air inside the shed seemed to shift. Every sound, the buzzing lights, the rain tapping the roof, Luke's footsteps, faded into an eerie silence. When he looked
Danger,
down,
Robinson, danger!
When he looked down, the silver letters on the cover changed. Volume 2 became Don't Let Go. That night, Noah couldn't concentrate on homework. His dorm room felt smaller than ever. The mysterious counseling textbook lay open beside the second volume, both illuminated by the soft glow of his desk lamp. The first book stopped at chapter 18. The second began with chapter 19. His pulse quickened. He turned the page. There were no predictions this time. Instead, there were memories. His memories. The day his younger sister Emma was born. The camping trip with his father. The baptism when he was 13. The funeral. Noah's breathing became shallow. The funeral wasn't his father's. It was Ethan's. His older brother. 3 years earlier. The drunk driver, the rainy highway, the closed casket, the silence that settled over their family afterward. The page continued. You blamed yourself because you convinced Ethan to drive home that night. Tears blurred Noah's vision. No one knew that. Not Luke, not Professor Carter, not even his therapist. He had buried that guilt so deeply that he'd almost convinced himself it wasn't there. Another sentence appeared beneath it. Grief that is buried is grief that grows. For the first time in months, Noah cried. Not quietly, not politely. He sobbed until his shoulders shook. He wasn't crying because the book knew. He was crying because it understood. The following afternoon, Noah skipped lunch and walked across campus to Professor Carter's office. She looked up from a stack of counseling journals as he entered. You look exhausted. I need to ask you something. She motioned for him to sit. What if... Noah hesitated. What if someone knew every thought you've ever had? Professor Carter folded her hands. Are they judging those thoughts? No. Condemning you? No. Trying to help? Yes. She smiled softly. Then maybe the question isn't how they know, It's why they stayed. Noah looked down. I feel like I'm losing my mind. You know what I think? What? I think you've spent so long believing you're alone that kindness feels impossible. The words struck him harder than he expected. That evening, the mirror changed again. The communal bathroom was empty. Steam drifted from the showers. Noah stared at his reflection. It stared back. Then, the reflection smiled. This time, Noah didn't flinch. Instead, the reflection slowly opened the mysterious textbook. It turned to a blank page. Then it lifted one finger. Behind you. Noah spun around. Nothing. When he looked back, the reflection wasn't looking at him anymore. It was looking over his shoulder, as though someone else stood behind the real Noah. The lights flickered. Darkness. When they returned, the reflection whispered 3 silent words. Don't let go. Then the mirror shattered. Every crack spread from the center like lightning across glass. No one had touched it. Campus security blamed faulty plumbing. Noah knew better. The next chapter appeared at midnight. There was only an address, an abandoned church 20 miles outside town, and beneath it, tomorrow, come alone. Rain fell in sheets the next evening. The old church sat forgotten at the edge of the woods, its white paint peeling away beneath decades of neglect. Every stained glass window was broken. The front doors hung crooked. As Noah pushed inside, the smell of old wood and damp stone filled the sanctuary. Rows of empty pews disappeared into darkness. The altar remained, so did a single lamp, and beneath it, a man. He looked about 45, broad shoulders, brown hair streaked with gray, kind eyes. Eyes Noah recognized instantly. They were his own. The older man closed the textbook in his lap. You came. Noah couldn't breathe. Who are you? The man smiled sadly. I'm what happens if you don't quit. Silence consumed the sanctuary. No. I know. No. I said the same thing. The older Noah stood. You've been reading the first draft. The first? The version I wrote after surviving. You wrote these books? I did. How? I'll explain. He told Noah everything. 20 years earlier, he had almost ended his own life. The panic attacks became unbearable. The nightmares never stopped. He believed God had abandoned him. He believed everyone would be better without him. But one night, someone found him. A pastor, a counselor, friends who refused to leave. Slowly, healing began. Not overnight, not perfectly, one day at a time. Years later, he became a Christian counselor. He spent his life helping people who believed the same lies he once believed. Then came the breakthrough. A physicist who happened to be one of his clients discovered a way to send information backward through quantum entanglement. Only paper survived the process. Noah laughed through tears. That's impossible. I know. But hope often begins with impossible things. So, you sent yourself these books? The older Noah nodded. Because I remembered this week. The panic, the guilt, the loneliness. I remembered believing there was no future. So I showed you there was. Noah looked around the abandoned church. If everything gets better, why are you crying? The older Noah's smile disappeared. He slowly opened the final page. I couldn't change everything. The page contained one photograph. A little girl. Curly brown hair, bright green eyes, 7 years old. Her name is Grace. My daughter. Noah stared. She's beautiful. She dies. The words echoed through the sanctuary. No. 3 months from my time. A drunk driver. The same way Ethan died. I thought saving you would save her. It didn't. Noah's voice trembled. Then why am I here? The older Noah looked directly into his younger self's eyes. Because I finally found the moment that changes everything. He pointed toward the photograph. You. I am the moment? You become her father. You become the counselor hundreds of people desperately need. You become the man she believes can fix anything. Tears filled his eyes. But this, he touched the photograph, I couldn't fix. Lightning illuminated the church. Thunder shook the walls. The older Noah suddenly looked frightened. They found us. Who? The reflections. Before Noah could ask another question, every remaining mirror inside the church exploded simultaneously. Fragments covered the floor. Each shard reflected a different version of Noah. Some were suits, some hospital gowns, some prison uniforms, some military fatigues. One reflection was simply gone. Blackness. The older Noah stepped backward. Their timelines. What are you talking about? Every choice, every future, every version of us that let go. The shattered pieces began moving, sliding, turning, reassembling, not into mirrors, into people. Dozens of Noahs climbed out of the broken glass. Each carried the same empty expression. Hopeless, exhausted, broken. One whispered, "You can't save everyone." Another, "God left us." Another, "Give up." The voices grew louder, hundreds of them. The older Noah grabbed the textbooks and shoved them into Noah's hands. "Listen to me. I don't know how long I can hold them." "What do I do?" "You remember the first lesson." Noah's heart pounded. "Panic doesn't mean you're dying." The older Noah nodded. "And the last?" Noah looked down. The final page was still blank. Words slowly began appearing, not printed, written, as if by an invisible hand. "You are loved." Another sentence. "You were never alone." Another. "Don't let go." The voices screamed. The reflections charged. The older Noah smiled. "I think." He looked upward. "He's been here the whole time." A brilliant white light flooded the sanctuary. The reflections cried out. Glass burst outward like stars. Noah instinctively shielded his eyes. When the light faded, the church was empty. The older Noah was gone, and only one book remained. I believe that's the end.
Ethan, why do you do this to us?
If you're go ahead and move the Izzy. Yes, okay. What the fuck? You've got to be fucking kidding me! Nathan! Danger, Will Robinson, danger! Do not follow! If there are words appearing on a fucking page that nobody sees the goddamn book, put the book down, set it on fire like a goddamn Ouija board, and walk the fuck away! No!
Okay.
Anybody else want to add to that tantrum?
I already said my piece.
Tantrum.
That was a tantrum. Okay. That was most definitely a strident, crazy witch from the woods tantrum. It's okay. It's okay. From the moment it said don't let go, I was like, oh fuck, not again. Not again.
We need to edit the cat butt.
All right. I guess I'm spinning the thing.
Yeah, yep, mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're starting to get echoey sticks. I'm hearing what they're hearing, I think.
I don't hear anything, so...
I don't.
I'm echoing?
I don't know if you're echoing or echoing. But, again, they don't have a whole lot in that room.
Yeah. Voice bouncing off the walls.
Oh, that would make sense.
All right. Can you still... Let me turn this down. Can you still hear me now? Am I still echoing?
Yes.
E.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I gotta stop touching stuff. All right, Death's Head. Let me pull up the email again.
Uh-oh.
I don't remember. I still don't remember any of these voices, but I'll do my absolute best. All right, we jump back in to our historical fantasy here. Historical fiction, I should say. Thin light fell through the horn window, Bothnick casting a shadow against the wall. The floorboards creaked under him as he pushed himself up with his arms, body rigid, trying to go through his old morning exercises as though all were right in the world. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, he could not escape from Kalir's memories. A knock echoed from the door, Bothnick calling, "Who goes there?" "It's me," came the quiet voice of Bothii. "You're late for the council meeting." "Oh," he replied, glancing at the window. The thick horn panes made it hard to tell the hour. "I'll be down shortly." "Very good," Bothii said, though there was no sound of her leaving. Bothnick sighed, quickly donning his clothes. He hesitated upon lifting the crown, running his fingers over the faux feathers, each inscribed with one of the runes along the 16 of the well-practiced row and 2 elder sigils which had fallen out of use. He set the symbol of office on his brow and slid on the signet ring. He opened the door, his sister waiting for him. The two stepped quickly down the hall to the royal conference chamber. Golden dust motes danced in sunlight, filtering through a side window. Arrayed around the table were Jarl Vadecap, his eldest son Vaithlin. Nearby, the old bearded diviner Horthald tossed the rune squares, searching for signs of the gods. Lastly, Count Sanal, leaned back in his chair by the door, a deep scowl creasing his face. In dead silence, King Bothnick slouched into his high chair, looking sadly over the papers, carved staves, and hide maps sprawled before him. The news grew direr with each one. At last, the stillness broke when Count Authaeon arrived, the wiry man shrugging off his coat and looking over the scene. "Have I come upon a council meeting for a war or a funeral?" Authaeon asked in a hollow tone. "Queen Regent Greyar and King Austral have both refused offers of marriage for Bothnick," Sanal said sourly. "And King Kirgin did not even bother to reply, or so a traitor returning from his court reports." "So much for your father's wrong one. So much for your father's alliances," Althaian said. "Earls Tival and Ursik have been placed under siege," Bothnick said, rubbing his crown. "I must break those sieges, or else risk all of the lands across the bridge." "We shall have to choose a site of battle carefully," Sanal said. "Or we offer terms," Bothnick uttered. "That's a coward's way out." "I see no alternative." Bothnick gripped the chair to steady himself. "Lad," Vadecap began. "No. We must send for a troop of sellswords," Bothnick uttered. "They will bolster our ranks and give us an edge." "A man who fights for coin has no honor in his heart," Horthald said knowingly. "They are warriors as a man who uses a brick to break entry into one's hall as a guest. A man who will not seek any advantage to safeguard his lands has no right to call himself a king," Bothnick said, fighting his tongue. He looked to Sanal. "We have had good harvests and mild winters 3 years now, and I know my father was thrifty." "There is a troop I know of," Sanal said, sitting upright. "I like this knot," Vaithlin growled. "You all served my father loyally and faithfully. I ask you to do the same for me. Sanal, take as much as you need from the treasury and bring us a troop of sellswords. Vadecap, rally every man you can spare, and prepare to march south. And Althaian, aye? Assemble your ships, all of them, and bring spare crews. You are to raid the main Buganthayan port of Firabor, sail to Ursik, and rally with his fleet. Capture as many as you are able, and burn the rest. Then return north for further orders. We will have need of a river strike." "That is a bold stratagem," Althaian said, standing up straighter. When one is outnumbered, as we, boldness may be the only..." Bothnick swallowed, his tongue fighting him as he tried to act like Kalir. He took a deep breath. "You have your orders." "And if Ursik should hesitate before releasing his ships?" Bothnick took up a knife and a blank stave, carefully carving the runes. Then he affixed his signet seal, handing it to Bothei, who passed it to Althaian. "You have a royal warrant, in time of war. If he refuses, he may be hanged." Althaian tapped the order to his heart. He turned on his heel, only to slow as he approached the door. He shot Bothnick a glance. "On the subject of funerals." His father and elder brother understood the delay. Horthald uttered. We shall return in victory," Bothnick added. "Bury them with the Buganthayan spoils." "I look forward to that," Althaian said, smirking as he strolled away. A gentle autumn breeze wafted through Duke Tavir's study, carrying the scent of his beloved gardens. He turned a page in his ledger book, dipping a quill in the ink pot as he prepared to scratch another note of the harvest into the records. A rap at the door froze him, the pen still poised. Tavor's eyes flicked to the wine decanter at his elbow, the color revealing that it still needed time to breathe. A poor omen, Taver thought, setting down his pen. For I will likely need it before the time is ripe. The rap came again, Taver's chair squeaking as he turned to face the door. And who has come calling? I beg your pardon, sir, came the voice of his manservant, Rockfuse. An urgent missive from the king. No point delaying, Taver muttered, taking up the decanter and pouring himself a glass for strength. Bring it hither. The door creaked, revealing the pudgy visage of Rockfesus, the man having gone soft since his life had fallen apart whilst in the service of his duke. He stepped inside, rubbing the bald spot in his brown hair as the shafts of sunlight lit up the green fringed and purple, marking him as one of Taver's men. Great God, don't look like you're entering a cave full of vipers, Taver sighed. I know you are but the messenger. As you say, your lordship, Rockfesus murmured, hurrying across the gap and thrusting the sealed letter into Taver's hand. Taver ripped it open with his teeth, his eyes darting to the text. Anger gripped him as he recognized the handwriting of Prince Galleon. The grip tightened as he read the text, his teeth grating, for he was being called to the stupidest imaginable war in the most insulting way imaginable. Taver closed his eyes and took a long gulp of wine. It passed over his tongue and down his gullet without leaving any hint of taste aside from an acrid bitterness. With a sigh, he rose from his chair, running his fingers through his hair. My friend, Rockfesus, please have a missive sent to Baron de Fro. I enjoyed his wine very much. At once. Good. And after that, you shall have to make ready to call all of my sworn lords to war. I see, Rockfesus swallowed. And how shall I word this news? That I will tell you once I've worked out myself how this call to arms is justified. For now, I am off to the gardens to speak with my children. As you will, my liege. Rockfesus bowed as Taver swept past him into the hall and down the stairs to the garden door. Laughter met him as he stepped outside, a cruel sound given what he was about to say. Taver moved through the verdant aisles of flowering bushes, the soft trickle of water echoing through the air from the fountain. Slowly he made his way past the trellises to where his children had gathered. Grown children now, a weakness coming over him as he looked upon his and his brother's offspring. Once small things, they now had the bodies of adults, though Taver couldn't pin down when that had occurred. His eldest son and heir, Ilden, stood tall and proud in a sleeveless shirt and light pants which accentuated his comely visage. His golden hair curled like the locks of Taver's own father, his green eyes sparkling in the light as he clipped a rose for Lady Curtute's delight. One of his daughter's ladies-in-waiting, the mousy girl was short for her age and cute in her own way, her brown eyes smitten with Ilden, like so many maidens. As she accepted the rose, Ronir laughed at her. Taver's stomach turned when he looked upon a boy who had inherited the visage of his brother, with brown locks and short nose. So like his father, though the book in his lap was one that Taver's brother would have tossed away for a practice sword. Taver sighed, smiling a rueful smile. He's like his mother in that way, a love of books and poetry therein. He'd be happy as a cleric. There was a laugh which made Taver's heart flutter. From one of the paths appeared Cumthil, his brother's younger son, and his own daughter, Jerthing. Both had golden locks, the sun radiating off their hair and fair faces. So like her mother, though, Cumthil attests that not all of that beauty comes from my beloved Renweir alone. Trailing them was Jerthing's lady-in-waiting, Jola, a black-haired boy of 3 right at her heels. Ulfa, as he was known, led many to snicker that she was the not-so-willing-to-wait, whenever they thought it was most hurtful. though Jola took such insults in stride. Jerething stopped in her tracks, tugging on Kunthel's shoulder as she looked upon Taver. "What's wrong, father?" "Must only bad news bring me to my beloved gardens?" Taver asked. "Come now, uncle," Kunthil said snidely. "You only look that way when something's gone awry." "You know he speaks truly," Ilden said, surreptitiously giving Kertute a signal before he turned to Taver. "Now, out with it. What madness has the king imposed upon us now?" "It is the work of his son," Taver said, swallowing to keep the venom from his voice. All at once, everyone grew tense, Jerething's smile curdling, while Vronir muttered something under his breath. Taver held up a hand, saying, "We are called to arms. March north and press our dear king's claim on the throne of Kenneland." "Why can't the old man rally his own armies?" Kunthal asked shortly. "You know well why that old man is sending us to do his dirty work," Ilden snorted. "'Tis ill to speak flippantly about one's own king," came the voice of Noxric. The old gardener shuffled into view, his wispy hair flecked with leaves and burrs he had not bothered to remove. The same was true of his brown coat, a few seedlings poking up out of his pockets. He brought one out to Jerething, saying, "Begging your pardon for the eruption, my duke." "You are forgiven," Taver replied. "And Ilden, I tell you again, the letter came from his son." "Which one?" Jerething asked, a nervous quaver in her voice. She brushed back a lock of hair and looked intently at her father, ignoring the preferred plant. "Difficult to say," Taver deflected. "Those boys copy one another's handwriting." "We know that well," Vronir said. "Tell me, uncle, are you answering the summons?" "I can hardly refuse my king," Taver said. "And that's enough, Ilden. I need a man I can trust to lead the household troops." I can do it, uncle," Kunthil cut in. "He spoke to me," Ilden said, standing up straighter. "I am ready, father." "Many have uttered those words and never returned," Taver said harshly. Too harshly. His children recoiled as the words echoed through his head. Taver made a warding sign of L, lowering his voice. "I only meant that you must be cautious. We are not sparring or entering a tourney. This is deadly serious." "Tourneys are not free of such danger," Vronir said, his eyes turning glassy. A light breeze whispered through the leaves overhead, cold settling over Taver as he tried to find the right words. As ever, they remained elusive. Jerething curled up upon herself while Kunthil offered her his hand. Vronir flipped a page of his book back and forth with distant eyes as Ilden shifted his weight from foot to foot. It was Noxric who broke the stillness, stepping up to Jerething and placing the seedling into her hands. "I believe this crossbreed will bloom as soon as you wish." "Oh, will bloom as you wish." "A royal purple snapdragon." "Let us plant it at once," Kunthil said quickly, giving Jerething a nudge. Ilden whispered into Kertute's ear, then surreptitiously gave her a kiss before she followed her lady. Only then did he march with his father. They came to a fountain, the splash of water filling the air. "The letter is from Galleon, isn't it?" Ilden asked softly. "You know damned well it is," Taver growled. "And you know damned well he is the mastermind of all this." "And yet you intend to follow his scheme?" Ilden asked, his eyes narrowing. "Open rebellion would serve us ill," Taver said. "I believe an identical letter was dispatched to Duke Roctor. Rallying him and all our own sworn lords will provide opportunities for other conversations to unfold." "What if the king were to overthrow?" "He's a doomed heathen barbarian. It will perhaps take 2 battles to put him down." "Now which of us is speaking without caution?" Ilden snorted. "Father, those barbarians are fearsome. They were included in the Treaty of the Tidewater for a reason. Indeed, there are more of their kingdoms than our own. You speak wisely, but the king we face is but a boy. He will not have the confidence of his warriors, nor experience in battle. We outnumber him many times over. With judicious deployment of our men, there is little chance of failing. I hope you're right for all our sakes. So do I, Taver thought, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. Prepare yourself. This will be your blooding. Remain calm and confident, without arrogance. Yes, father. With that, the two stepped apart, Taver heading back to his study. He slowed, a shadow falling across the palace door as a one-handed Noxric loomed into view. I have quite enough on my plate, Taver said quietly. Leave any observations of my children be for now. "'Twas not them I thought of," Noxric replied, "and I know that it's not my—" "Spit it out!" "Have you told any of these goings-on to your lady mother?" "I would not worry her." Noxric turned away, though he shot Taver a glance on his way into the gardens. With a groan, Taver took a detour to his mother's chambers, feeling like twice a fool for avoiding her, for fearing her still, and for not seeking her advice at once. Dun dun dun. Hey, a wild Patrick appears.
Oh yeah, hey, Powers, Patrick. That was not what I meant to say, but
That was all sorts of all over the place.
it's me. What do you expect?
Is it just me, or is the political intrigue just getting as confusing as it ever was in actual history?
I mean, it's accurate.
Excellent. All right, here we go.
Here we go. Eller,
I'll take this
Geller.
one.
you got it? Okay.
Yep, I'll take it. Let's see how my voice does tonight. It'll bring it up.
Pardon me while I go
Oh,
take some
probably
medicine.
helps if I turn my Wi-Fi on.
That's usually important.
There it is. Okay. Okay. David was just like any vampire in the city, working late at night as a restaurant clerk. It was a normal, slow night for the Baoband, Sith, and Man- Managal hybrid. Typically, it would have continued like this if it wasn't for the brick that flew through the window. David reacted quickly, grabbing a wrench from his belt loop while hissing. He ran towards the broken window and jumped onto the sidewalk. The vandal was long gone. David grunted as he returned to the restaurant, immediately phoning the authorities. "Yeah, someone threw a brick through my restaurant window," the vampiric hybrid said as he scratched his head, messing his wavy brown hair. "No, I didn't have the chance to see who it was." "A description of the object?" "Okay." David went near the brick and clicked his tongue as he saw a card wrapped in a bow tie around the brick, as if the bandit had tried to make his brutish way of messaging more elegant. Are you kidding me? David thought as he contemplated the brick. It was certainly strange that someone would go out of their way to do something like this. It's like trying to make a feral hog look pretty. David needed to explain to the secretary twice how odd it was, and he was visited by Anubis once. That was comparatively less weird than the brick with a bow tie. At the end, they just told him to wait for the officers and not to touch the evidence, leaving David wondering what the hell was going on today. David's orange eyes reflected the light of the moon as he was waiting outside the restaurant for the authorities to finish their investigation. After he told the police what had happened, he stayed to keep an eye on what they were doing. However, the situation got on his nerves, building on his ever-increasing feelings of annoyance. Freaking day, David thought as he finished his blood bag and threw the wrapper in the garbage. He felt his phone vibrate in his pocket. It was a call from Valeria. Hello, can you give me your name? David said with a comedic tone. Instead, it came off as distorted. How you doing? Why are you trying your hands at fey bullshittery? You know full well I don't fall for that. Valeria's lyrical voice replied. You are aware that I don't practice too much, so you don't have to worry, right? David smiled. I didn't have that much interest in messing with true names anyways. That said, my mother keeps complaining about it. I meant, she would like you to inherit her skills, right? Spawn of Fafnir replied. She's clearly a sweet woman, though. Very pretty. Valeria, could you stop thirsting after my mother, please? David asked tonelessly. My mother doesn't swing that way, and she is married. I'm sorry, it's funny to mess with you. The cursed descendant of Fafnir laughed. I wish I could see your face. Oh, wait, turn on the camera. No, David replied with a monotone voice and rolled his eyes. Jokes aside, why did you call me? Oh, nothing. I was just bored and wanted to talk with you, Valeria said. How was your day? Calm until an asshole decided to throw a brick, a letter wrapped in a bow tie, through the window, David said with an annoyed sigh. Just what the hell was that? Huh? What? That's just nuts. Are you safe? Valeria asked, worried. You didn't run afoul of the street gangs, right? Do I look like the type to go gallivanting around the slums? David asked rhetorically, his hoof stomping the ground, annoyed. Besides, I haven't done anything to warrant a fight. You told me you got into a lot of street fights when you were 15, Valeria pointed out. You've told me that you had an infamous reputation. I'm not particularly proud of that. David let out a growl, the weight of the wrench in his belt loop noticeable. I had shitty temperament at the time, and it gave me more trouble than it's worth. Oh, sorry for bringing it up. Larry apologized. Don't worry about it, David sighed. Before the conversation could continue, David saw one of the officers walk towards him, making a gesture to come closer. Valeria, sorry for cutting this short, but the officers need me now, David said. Okay, bye. Bye-bye, Valeria said in a sing-song way. David chuckled as he ended the call and pocketed the smartphone, then walked towards the officer. You need me, officer? David asked. For starters, the letter is directed towards you, sir, the police officer said as he showed him the plastic bag with the letter. Must ask, you been outside at all before this? Oh, really, officer, I wasn't, David stated. In fact, I was working while this happened. Can I read this? The officer nodded and gave him a pair of gloves. So once the hybrid metaphage put the gloves on, he was given the bag. Without much thought, the vampire read the letter, which had a single message in it. The lettering was curved and blocky with a childish touch. It was readable, but importantly, David was familiar with the handwriting. Oh, strangers are following me. My parents were taken. I don't have any places to hide. Somebody, help! David frowned and gave the letter back to the officer, while he scratched the side of his head. The more the seconds passed, the more David's countenance turned from a frown to a troubled visage. Anything wrong, sir? The officer asked. I recognized the writing, David said, worry evident in his face. It's a 13-year-old called Joshua. Good kid, happy one. It's just, oh, what the hell happened, kid? David murmured. David felt the desperation in the letter. Whoever was following Joshua had him spooked, making the teenager resort to this kind of message. Are you going to help him? David asked. We will see what we can do, sir, the officer said calmly, but David could see the tension on the officer's shoulders and hear his heartbeat pumping faster. He was just as worried as David. We would need to escort you to our office. We need all the information we can. Will you cooperate? David agreed without hesitation. David got into his car and drove, following the police. He thought of how the night went from 0 to 100. However, the persistent worry for Joshua's well-being was in the back of his mind. Ironically, this made him pray for the police to eventually find him. Dun dun dun.
Oh,
Tune in next week
Uh.
for more Who Done Did It.
oh, done did it.
I gotta remove Nathan from the wheel.
Yeah, mystery and cryptids.
Rose.
Ace's daughter.
Ace's daughter.
Want me to take that one?
Oh.
Feel up to it.
My voice is holding up right now. It's not like it was earlier today.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for understanding, folks. The Canadian fires have just really hit our corner of the world really, really hard, and it's messing with Kesh's voice and my breathing. So we're making it through.
Without a thought, my hand flies up and snaps the arrow in half before tossing it aside. His eyes widen slightly as he takes a step forward. Nice try, but I'm not that easy to kill. I push off the floor with my foot, aiming my knife at his throat. Casually steps to the side, avoiding the stab. I swing at him again, and then again, over and over. My hand flying at the speed of bullets. but yet he dodges every single one. I finally stop when a sudden small burst of pain hits my cheek. My eyes follow where it came from. A little white ghost floats near, its mouth wide open to reveal a colorless void. So the judge does have some tricks up his sleeve. I stab the little creature and it disappears instantly. Wow, pick on someone your own size, he chuckles and laughed. He laughed. He laughed at me. My head whipped my head I whipped my head to the side. Oh, a much larger ghost floated behind him, its mouth wide open, just like the smaller one. Well, this should be interesting. That stupid grin is back on his face. A white ball begins to form in front of the ghost, growing bigger within seconds and crackling with energy. Step back. There is no way I'm dodging that. The orb blasts towards me. Quickly, I form a black shield to block it. I'm pushed backwards as the orb crashes and bursts against my shield. The pressure lasts for a few seconds before fading with the ghost. The shield vanishes as if it were never there. It served its purpose, but with its absence, nobody will care. I can only hope those same words won't be repeated by another with me in mind. The room slightly heats up as I dodge even more burning arrows, my blade coming so close to him, but somehow or another never leaving a mark. This dance of ours goes on for what feels like forever. A bead of sweat falls off my forehead onto the ground. The judge also seems to be slowly losing energy, his shoulders slumped over and his breathing more heavy. I can't stop now that I'm getting even closer. I lunge at him, and even though he turns away, it's too late. My blade slices through his arm, leaving behind a nasty cut. He winces, a hand flying to cover his wound. His wide eyes look into mine, and I forget all about my past exhaustion as a wave of joy hits me. I just have to wait till he's too tired to fight, and then I make the last swing and it's over. He sighs. Look, I'm tired. You're tired. He slowly raises his hand. And to be honest, I don't like fighting. So how about you just go take a flight? White energy forms around my body and I float above the ground. The judge simply winks at me before I crash through the heart-shaped window. I hit the ground with a loud thud, glass shattering beneath me. A sharp gasp leaves my mouth and I push myself into a sitting position. Dang, that took my breath away. I press a hand into my chest. My back and my head throb in pain, but I stand up anyway. Luckily, my knife dropped near me, so I easily pick it back up. He's so stupid if he thinks that will stop me. I run back to the front of the building. My legs stumble at first before returning to normal. I push on the two heavy doors, but they don't move. I try kicking and picking the lock. Neither even have a slight effect on the two doors. A loose brick catches my eyes and a mischievous thought comes to my mind. I pick up the brick while folding my knife into my pocket. This could make an impact. I hit hard enough. I smack the door hinges with the brick in an upward motion. If this fails, then I could always try teleporting in, but I'm not too good at it yet. The first hinge breaks open, and I giggle. Bricks can be a useful tool if used smartly. I quickly steal a chair from one of the nearby shops and use it to get to the higher hinge, repeating the same thing as the first and watching as it breaks. I climb down and push the chair aside before kicking the door once more. It doesn't move an inch. Come on, I groan. smacking the brick full force into the door. Slowly, the door starts to fall, but not inward, outwards. I step to the side as the door loudly hits the ground. Gasp comes from inside, and I notice there's a large piece of wood in front of the doorway. What is this? I poke the wood plank. The judge walks over but keeps a distance from the opening. It's a barricade to keep you out of my temple. How did you remove the door? Examines the open area from afar. I had a key. I smile, holding the brick so he can see it. That's a brick, Ruby. Points at it. I throw the brick at him, but he dodges. A very unpleasant look on his face as he stands in front of me again. Well, if used carefully and correctly, a brick can be used as a guest key mostly anywhere. I wait for him to attack, but he doesn't. He rubs his forehead with the palm of his hand. You know, a few years ago, there was an old lady that told me I was the only reason this town is still here. I built the bridges for peace between this and another town, even for the people in this town. He steps closer to the wooden board. You want to know something about yourself? You seem to love burning those bridges right down to the ground. I giggle, pulling out my knife. You're not wrong. I love burning down your bridges. I take a few slow steps back, keeping my eyes locked on him. He sighs, hesitating before leaping over the wooden board. Why are you even doing all of this? Do you enjoy it, or is it something you think is necessary? Arrows appear and float behind him, always ready to attack. Continue to slowly walk backwards, creating more distance between me and him. Oh, I do enjoy this. I just love causing entropy and little tiny wars. The sharp pain pierces my side. I look down to see an arrow sticking out. Did you just stab me? Here I thought we were having a lovely conversation. I pull out the arrow, wincing slightly, but hiding the pain behind a painted on smile. Okay, clock's ticking. Time to get serious. My knife glows a bright red, the blade growing in length. The judge summons more arrows, as if that'll stop me. I lunge right at him, swinging my knife at his face. A red line cuts from below his eye down to his cheek. I land on the ground, but it's different. A deep black color. My eyes quickly glance around. Everything is black. No building, no people, but an empty void. Ruby? Voice cuts through me like a knife. I turn around and see my mom. She's sitting on the dark ground, holding my younger self. It's fake.
Mere illusion from the judge to distract me. Hold on, Mike.
Yes, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Is it clear enough? Because I don't have any microphones. Okay. For as long as I live, they will not touch you. Her voice is soft. I remember this day like it was yesterday. I hear the quiet sobs and sniffles from my younger self. She was so heartbroken to learn what she would become. My mom takes little me's face between her hands. Be good, my dear, and good you will be. The two of them slowly fade, and I'm back in winter joy. The judge standing in front of me with an almost sad look on his face. You can still be good, Ruby. How dare he? I don't waste my breath. I don't waste more time. I appear behind him in an instant, my blade aimed at his back. He twists around, an arrow blocking my knife. Sparks fly between us as I press the blade harder. The same white energy as before grabs me. Pathetic. He throws me backwards. I roll a few times on the grass before digging my knife deep in the ground, leaving behind a cut in the dirt. I get up and rush back at him, but the ground beneath me changes. The dirt starts moving upward, creating a steep hill. I climb up, blades of grass brushing my hands. It takes more energy than I hoped, and it definitely does not make my wound feel any better, but I push myself up further. Right as my feet finally reach the top, arrows surround me from every single angle, forming a tight cage around me. Everything grows more warm with the blazing heat from the arrows, their sharp tips pointing right at me. Do it. My words firm, but my hand and blade shake as I lift them. This is what I deserve. I won't enjoy it, sure, but maybe in death I can finally find peace. Wait! A soft voice shouts behind me. Both me and the judge look towards it. Olive stands at a distance away, her eyes wide and her hair a mess. She looks like she just got up from a long nap. She also looks completely terrified. He approaches her, getting closer with each step. Instinctively, I also step forward, stopping right by the arrows. Don't you dare touch her! The ground beneath me seems to glitch slightly, but I ignore it. It's not my priority in this situation. He turns to look at me. I won't. Trust me, but his gaze goes back to her. Olive, it isn't safe for you to be here. A black mist slowly surrounds me, but my gaze never leaves them. Just like normal, she's stubborn as steel. She shakes her head, refusing to leave. I used to always love that about her, but he's right, it's not safe, and I felt so much better when she wasn't near this. When she was safe and she couldn't see the monster that I'm becoming. The monster that I am. The world grows colder and more distant as the black smoke covers my view of them. And then I hear Olive's voice shout, Wait, don't do this! Last thing I hear are footsteps running up to me before I'm somewhere else completely. Heavy, cold metal around both my wrists. Trapped to a lone tree in the dark void, a bitter, sad laugh escapes my mouth. I should have known death was a mercy I would not be getting. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, now I need to take a break.
That fucking last line.
Mm-hmm. Rose, dear.
Going. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I agree with Bitzer. Don't stop writing. Keep going.
I will third that. The motion passes. You're not allowed.
Yes.
Here I go again.
I do so appreciate it. I did put some voice stuff.
Oh, it's like you knew.
3 of the characters are guys. So
Yay! Oh, we get to do this guy. Oh, that'll be fun. That one's gonna be rough. That one I can just pull. Playoff, however. That would be a great description if I'd ever seen that TV show.
That tells me he's talking about Sven.
Yes.
Typical, prototypical Western cowboy.
Oh, can do.
But modern. Not, hey there, little lady. Not John Wayne.
Not John Wayne. I'll do my best to not John Wayne.
Should we be concerned when Styx is excited?
You'll see why. There's an accent request that I do really well, I think. So, we'll get there.
I think so too. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said, Styx, I want you to read it.
Okay. Taking my headset off so I don't hear my own echo again. So if you guys need to stop me, I can't see chat either. So if you need to get my attention, like I need you all in Discord to start, so I see it. Thank you. All right. Last time on A Whisper of Fear. He turned as a dark pickup emerged from the tree line at an easy pace, and then suddenly accelerated. It surged across the remaining distance in seconds. It wasn't wild or reckless, but it was certainly purposeful, maybe even emotional. It came to a stop in a spray of gravel, a damp mineral scent overpowering the lingering aroma of horses. The driver launched out of the cab before the engine even settled. Tall and broad, he closed the distance in long, hard strides. His gaze never left Vadim, lips set in a grim line. Jiraiya glanced between the two men and the women next to them. The women didn't seem surprised. Interesting, he thought. The newcomer stopped inches from Vadim, and his jaw tightened. You've lost your damn mind being here, he spat. Silence settled over the clearing. Even the birds hushed at his arrival. Vadim never moved, just the barest twitch of his jaw. Finally, he spoke. Sven, Miss Donegal, I come. And now? Oh, is that so? A man named Sven drawled. What a good little puppy you are. Vadim smirked, clearly unbothered by the taller man. She gave me a home, vehicle to drive, way to make money. Why not? As Sven drew in breath to say more, Jiraiya took a closer look at him. Hey, he interrupted. I've seen you before. Sven startled and glanced at him, a panic expression on his face. What? He sputtered. No, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Never seen you before. He took a few steps back. Jiraiya grinned. Now he was certain. Yeah, I remember. I saw you at the Broken Spur when it first got into town. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a button-sized object, holding it between two fingers. I believe this tracker belongs to you. Sven's eyes widened, mouth hanging open. Dahlia barely covered her smile in time with a fingerless, lace-covered hand. Donna rolled her eyes and sighed heavily. But Vadim remained completely motionless, his focus still fixed on Sven. Jiraiya chuckled and reached for Sven's hand. He dropped the device into the man's palm, then wrapped Sven's own fingers securely around it. Now, can we put the testosterone back in the bottle and get on with whatever this is? Donna put a hand on Vadim's elbow and looked up at him. It's all right. Why don't you and Dahlia sit up inside? We'll be along in a minute. She turned to Sven as the twins left. You want to talk about nerve? After the way you stormed out of here last time? I'm damn surprised you'd show your face here. Sven looked at his still clenched fist and swallowed hard. You don't understand, Donna. Donna exploded. Although silent and icy, it was the only word Jiraiya could find for the fury and storm in her posture. I don't understand. Me? You better rethink that line of thought, boy. Donna, I didn't mean... She cut him off, seething. No, of course not. You couldn't possibly have just tried to tell me that I don't understand loss, fear, grief, or the situation. Of course you didn't mean to get wrapped up in your own feelings and dismiss anyone else's. No, of course not. Jiraiya cleared his throat. Oh, whatever history the two of you are working through can wait. We really don't have time for this. Huntington and Tony are here, together, and that can't be good. Sven looked up. Who's Tony? Roughly grabbing his arm, Donna pulled him toward the house. Come on, detective. It's time we all have a plain conversation. A few moments later, the five sat around Donna's kitchen island, perched on bar stools. Dahlia had raided the cabinets and refrigerator for a bowl of cereal. Vadim hovered over a map of 3 forks he'd spread between them. Donna set a glass of sun tea in front of Jiraiya and sat beside him, another glass in her hand. Why don't we start with this Tony person? Jiraiya sighed. Tony, he paused. How much do I tell these people? Tony was married to my sister before she disappeared 20 years ago. His name is Darnell Anthony Ralston. He was in prison the last decade or so, and I knew he was recently paroled, but I have no idea why he's with Huntington. Vadim grunted. Bad people attract bad people. Jiraiya looked over at the Russian. He'd lowered his chest to the island, finger-walking the map. And what are you? Good at getting rid of bad people, he replied. Sven snorted from the other end of the counter. Before he could say another word, Donna broke in. Can it, Sven? She set her glass down. Here's what we know. Huntington, she pointed to her phone, displaying the picture she'd shown him earlier, is going around town showing Maggie's picture and saying she's his wife. Jiraiya here, a detective from Delaware, has confirmed it. Jiraiya nodded. Donna confirmed that Marjorie is this Maggie you all know. My goal in coming here was to convince her to come back and press charges, get him locked up. Sven broke in. That ain't happening. Oh, that's Sven, which is a very Russian name. Anyway, Sven broke in. That ain't happening. She's not going anywhere. Donna picked up her phone, dismissing the photo. She pressed around the screen, then held the phone to her ear. A few beats later, she smiled softly. Hey, Ingrid, can you do me a favor? I need Maggie out at the ranch, and I'd like you to take the kids on a field trip out to your place. Can you do that for me? Jiraiya caught movement from Sven, a tenseness settling across his shoulders. Donna continued. Thanks, sweetheart. They'll love the horses. She ended the call and set the phone back down. Oh, why are you dragging my mother into this, Donna? Sven gripped the edge of the butcher block island top. In this? You mean Maggie's situation specifically, or the work? Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Sven growled. Any of it. She's had enough heartbreak to last a lifetime. Donna clucked. Oh, darling, your mama's been helping me longer than you have. Why do you suppose she never questioned your long absences from the ranch? The rancher grumbled, but remained silent. Jiraiya took a sip of tea, ruminating a moment on how much they didn't know. We've already established that my former brother-in-law is actually with Huntington. We know Huntington is here trying to find his wife. But how does he know she's here? Donna crossed her arms and frowned at him. You. He turned to her sharply. What? Dahlia slurped the milk from her bowl. He trailed you, Slick Rick. You brought the fox right to the henhouse. You think he followed me all the way from Wilmington to Montana? Without putting the bowl down, Dahlia flipped open a manila folder at her elbow and turned it in his direction. I don't think. I know. Jiraiya looked down and saw the still from several traffic cams along the route he'd driven, 3 images from each. First his sedan, then Huntington, then Tony. How did you get these? He looked up in time to see Dahlia shrug. I have resources, pig. She drained the bowl. Dahlia, don't be rude. Donna stepped down from her stool. More tea, detective? He shook his head. No, thank you. He returned the images and closed the folder. Okay, so he followed me. I can't believe I missed that. You were on mission, Vadim said. Laser focused. Happens to all of us. He finally sat up straight and pointed each index finger at the map. Airport and golfing course. Donna stepped between Dahlia and Vadim and leaned over the map at where he pointed. That might work. Excuse me, but what exactly are you talking about? Jiraiya glanced at Sven, still sulking at the other end of the island, and then back across to the three huddled at the map. They looked up at him, faces calm, shoulders relaxed, and Jiraiya realized they just had an entire conversation without him. Vadim shrugged. We separate men. We handle. Jiraiya's eyebrows rose. I'm sorry, what? Huntington and Tony together are problem, Vadim said. Separate, they are smaller problem. And your solution to the smaller problem is... Vadim looked at him as if the answer was obvious. End it. You're talking about murder. I'm a cop. What the fuck is your guys' problem? Dahlia dropped off the stool and carried her bowl to the sink. You don't have to be involved, detective, although it sounds like you'd be perfect bait. Why would you want to kill them? This was real life, but Jiraiya couldn't shake the feeling he'd walked into a thriller movie. Sven cleared his throat and mumbled, If Maggie's husband is left alive, he'll find her and continue to terrorize her. I don't like it, but they're right. So let me get this straight. Mrs. Huntington shows up here, and you're ready to kill her estranged husband when he shows up. Why? Donna returned to the stool next to him and sat down. You know the system lets women and children, and some men, down. They report abuse and nothing ever happens. If the victim doesn't get away, they get hurt more. Or worse. He didn't want to agree with her, but she wasn't wrong. He nodded. Over the years, I've put together an underground railroad, so to speak, to get the victims out of these situations, help them disappear. She waved a hand toward the others. Several of my local helpers. You brought her here? Donna smiled. Maggie actually brought herself. She showed up on a couple message boards we monitor, and she had a plan. A good plan. We just filled in the last pieces. You think she'll be good with this plan? Dahlia's sing-song came from behind Vadim. Oh, the sweet thing doesn't know about any of... Oh, that's the wrong accent completely. We just jumped continents.
She uses whatever she wants.
But I'm assuming
whenever
you're berating me, and I'm totally okay with it.
No! She's a master of accents. She says whatever she wants in multiple different accents, so do whatever you want.
You said sing-songy, so she's Irish now. Everyone prepare yourselves. Oh, this sweet thing doesn't know anything about us. We just answered questions and put the right info in her path. She chose Montana. Us. So she doesn't know any of you? She knows us, Sven interjected. At least me and Donna. We answered her ad asking for help setting up their new home before they arrived. She just doesn't know the extent of what we do and what we know. Donna laid a hand on his forearm. Jiraiya, it sounds like this Tony is just as bad as the man Maggie is hiding from. If he did what I suspect he did, well, 2 birds, 1 stone? He jerked his arm away. What makes you say that? She smiled at him. You think he killed your sister, don't you? Jiraiya looked away. Can't prove it. Darling, you can't prove it. Because he didn't. I wasn't sure before, but... She stood up and walked into the next room, returning a few moments later with a vintage photo album, flipping through pages. There, you look just like her. She set the album on the counter and slid it toward him. That's your sister, ain't it? And her 2 boys? Dryad gulped. Staring back at him was the laughing face of his sister Hannah and his nephews Zeke and Uriah, in front of a house he'd never seen before. What? How? Where did you get these? Donna said nothing, just placed a hand on his shoulder and squeezed. They're safe, just like Maggie and her kids. For now. But will they stay safe? Tony's out and here. Is he smart? Will he keep tracking you as you hunt for them? Will he follow you to them just like Huntington followed you to Maggie? It's your choice, detective. You in or you out? With a last look at his family, eyes burning, he closed the book. I'm on vacation. I'm in. Dun dun dun. Accents galore.
Julie looks strangely satisfied.
I have no comment on that one. No comment.
My story. And yet she looks really satisfied. Like the canary, the cat that ate the canary.
I will
I'm good with it.
neither confirm nor deny that I've been asked to narrate a specific book. All right. Spinny spin spin spin.
Spinny spin spin.
Oh wait, I have to do Izzy's every other spin line. Who's our next submitter? It's Julie this time.
Sweet. Three years later. It took her a minute. Roscoe didn't stir when she heard the door to Mama Redbird's guest room creak open. I should have locked the door, was the fleeting thought that passed through her mind as the creaking grew louder. Almost as if whoever or whatever was on the other side couldn't make up its mind on whether or not to enter. Then, as if a gust of wind blew through, the door banged softly into the dresser behind it. Roscoe was struggling too hard with dreams and reality to figure out which she currently found herself in. If it was a dream, she knew how this would play out. If it was reality, then something would set off her senses any minute. Stiffening, she listened closely as her back stayed to the room. The tattletale scraping of Major's paws on the hard wood floor gave him away. It was barely daybreak when Roscoe felt the bed dip and Major's hot breath assaulting the back of her neck. Major, could you please go lay down? I am not awake enough to deal with you right now. Low whimpers sounded, and when Roscoe refused to roll over, a slobber-soaked Rocky was unceremoniously dropped in the crook of her exposed neck. Damn it, you big meathead! What do you want? Roscoe spurted out, darting from the bed like someone threw ice-cold water on her. Adrenaline rolled through her exhausted bones like a lightning strike. Major, looking thoroughly pleased with himself, grabbed Rocky and pranced halfway to the door before letting out another yip to get his zombie master to follow him. If you weren't the best trained tracker, I would wring your big ass furry. Roscoe's voice was cut short when she locked eyes with a kitchen full of men doing their damnedest to look anywhere but at her. Good boy, Major, Mama Redbird called, slipping him a piece of bacon as a reward. How is he a good boy? Roscoe grumbled, stumbling closer to the coffee pot. I told him to go wake you up. He did so. Ergo, good boy. Should have told him gently. There is nothing gentle about you or that big ball of fur. Mama Redbird turned to point the spatula at her. I can be gentle, Roscoe choked out as the first pull of coffee scalded her throat. As a cactus, Jack piped up from the table. Roscoe slid in behind him and popped him in the back of the head with her elbow. Ah, fuck, Roscoe. My point right there. Thought I saw a tick on the back of that knobby head of yours. Could have saved your life. Roscoe walked over to see what was on the menu for breakfast. Will you two call a truce long enough to fight fair? Mum Redbird piped off. By the way, Roscoe, the sheriff radioed, needs you to get up with him ASAP. Yes, ma'am. I'll see if I can get a bar or two. Roscoe walked back to her room with Major hot on her heels to retrieve the now buzzing phone from the nightstand. 12 missed calls and a slew of text messages bombarded the screen. I'm not awake enough for this shit. Roscoe sauntered herself out to the front porch away from prying eyes. Ever since she arrived last night with Jack, the feeling of being on display hadn't subsided. One young blood tracker and 2 full-fledged turned into 3, and 3 by the time Major had rudely woken her up. Roscoe had an inkling Jack or Mama Redbird called them in after what happened up on the mountain yesterday. Neither would take the fact she said she was fine, or understood she only worked with other trackers on her own terms. But they had one thing dead on the nose. This whole situation was so much bigger than one girl. Curling herself into one of the oversized rocking chairs with Major and Rocky at her feet, Roscoe looked out over the paddocks where Nitro and Harley laid in the grass. The sun hadn't yet crested the ridge, leaving the sky pale blue and pink, a stark contrast to the deep, harsh orange from the day before. Sipping her coffee, her mind attempted a proper reboot rather than the harsh wake-up call that jolted her into the waking world. Her mind kept drifting back to the conversation from before she had retreated back to the guest room. Jack talked long into the night about everything, and yet nothing. Roscoe attempted to deflect at every turn. Both desperately trying to find normalcy in a world where there wasn't an ounce to spare. A tactic well used since they were teens, especially when one or the other wouldn't or couldn't get out of their own head. For her, there was nothing to talk about. Not last night, or in the dawn of a new day, could she find the words that would make this make sense. At least, not while she held extra puzzle pieces she wasn't ever sure fit together yet. Glancing down at her phone, one contact stood out among the rest. 5 missed calls from Whitmore. Looks like someone was more impatient than her for information, but she had no fucking clue what she was going to say to him. Because how do you tell a brother all you found was her shoes, and no real trace of his sister past that? I can prove your sister was up on the pass, but have no idea where she is now. Oh, and I may or may not have uncovered a trafficking ring that might have your sister, but I don't have any proof one way or the other yet. That was the part of the job Roscoe hated with a passion, giving news like breadcrumbs instead of a slice of bread to hungry families begging for information about their loved ones. Her eyes were trained on a fixed point when her phone rang out. Roscoe P. Coltrane, she answered with a hint of amusement. Do you ever answer the phone normally? Sheriff Johnson responded incredulously. Nope. Roscoe let the P pop as she took another sip of her coffee, eyes still fixed on what caught her attention. Even read that line, and yet I did the P with the right pop. Sorry. But I'm sure you're not calling to school me on my phone etiquette. So what can I do do for you this morning, Sheriff? The preliminary report of the blood found at the scene is from 4 different sources. My men, along with a forensics team, are going up to check the other cabins and gather more evidence. All right. What about the suspects? We have enough to hold until at least next week, when Judge Morris comes back from his fishing trip. 2 have lawyered up, and the third, let's just say I think he's going to end up the fall guy if we don't get a little more evidence. Tell me what I'm looking for. Well, it would be nice if we could figure out how they moved around. So far, we don't have a vehicle, just 3 guys on foot with an unregistered gun. Unregistered guns aren't illegal in Montana or Idaho. You're right there, Raccoon, but attempted murder and conspiracy to commit a violent crime is. I'm assuming this is going to be a joint venture between y'all and Montana? Yep. Why you asking? What if I could hand you over Manning's truck? Technically, we are on the border, so either could stake claim to the evidence. You know where the truck is? I'm looking at it right now. It's across the street from Mama Redbird's. Keep eyes on it until we get there. Will do. Oh, and by the way, bring a flatbed. It's currently sitting on 4 flat tires, and before you ask, no, I wasn't the one to do that. Alrighty, I'll call the recovery service and should be out that way in a few hours. Roscoe understood what he was telling her without him needing to spell it out on an open line. See you soon. She hung up, tossing her phone on the side table. As if that was Jack's cue, he emerged from the house holding a biscuit smothered in butter and homemade strawberry jam. Peace offering? He held it out, hoping to still have a hand when all was said and done. I guess, if that's all you have to offer. Roscoe snatched it from his hand, taking a large bite. Easy there, Panda. You'll choke. Jack took a seat on the porch swing. So, what did the law dog say? They're coming for Manning's truck. It'll be a few hours. We are to keep eyes on it like it's going to roll away on its own. Roscoe snickered, taking another bite. Stranger things have happened out here. I swear we live in a void. Jack snickered while bringing his coffee cup to his lips. Nothing's truly gone if you know where to look, Roscoe muttered under her breath, unconsciously grabbing for the Zippo in her pocket. Anyways, we got a few hours to comb over the truck to see if there is anything that ties back to my case. Then what are we waiting for? Jack put his coffee cup on the banister and walked toward the steps. How about me being fully awake first? Roscoe called after him, wishing she had something to throw at him. It didn't take long to go through the trash in the back of the old truck. Most of it was beer cans and old tins of snuff, but there were some old sun-faded papers that looked like pay stubs. She snapped pictures of it all before something through the back glass caught her eye. A bracelet that looked completely out of place. I need to get in the truck. Roscoe scurried out of the back and headed for the driver's side. You can't. It's locked. What did you see? Jack watched her launch from the fender, wincing when she landed. Well, a brick is a guest key anywhere and on anything. Roscoe searched the ground for one to break the window. Why don't I just go back to the house and see if Leo or Reggie has their lock set? Cops will be here any time to pick up the truck. How are we going to explain a broken window? Roscoe stood up to retort when movement caught her eye. The trackers were filing out of Mama Redbird's, as if just a few names summoned them. Dun, dun, dun.
I have questions. There were 2 Freudian slips in a single phone call. Was that intentional or was that Izzy?
Which ones?
She went from, can I do you, to what can I do for you? And is this going to be a joint fetish to joint venture? So
No, that was
question number
Izzy.
one.
That
Question number
was
one was,
not-
are these Freudian slips or Izzy? And question number two is, are they Roscoe's slips or Izzy's slips?
technically it was Izzy. And I'm not saying one way or the other whether my character would, you know. I mean, she's we can already prove that she's fucked around at least with the Mounties. Izzy. Oh, she found out when she was about 19. But yeah, she's already fucked around and found out. That's how she ended up in the line of work she's in. This is her way of now giving everybody the fuck around to find out.
I said fetish, and look what happened.
Oh God, you summoned 19.
This was not planned.
It wasn't. You had Izzy, then you had me, and then ended up on a freaking 19. Like, fuck. Like,
None of us here have control over the wheel, Ace. I just find it strange that I use that word and suddenly 19 lands on the wheel. Wow. And suddenly I'm the only one here. One is the... Oh, it's break time. We're halfway through the list. Everyone go get your snacks, get your drinks, go to the bathroom, do the things. Check your ovens.
I held
Take
up-
your meds.
I held up my empty bottles. I was like, I need a drink before I can do the thing. Okay, well, okay, quick 5-minute break. Sure.
Breathe.
Although I might need a cigarette before and after this reading. Okay, be right back.
I can't hear you.
Nope.
Still nothing. I went and refilled my water during the last one.
I was like, I got my Powerade.
Got
It's not cold. I wanted to switch it out with a cold one, but
Anybody remember these? One of my favorite snacks.
when you sat down with them, I'm like, you ass, I want some.
Tractor Supply.
I can go to Union City. I probably can get them at Roll King too.
Yes, we're still on break and ads hit in 5 minutes, so we'll come back after those ads are done. Cash is dropping and returning. I see your thing lighting up, but we still don't hear you.
I can't see you.
We see you. That's pretty wild, Ace. Can I hear you? I knew what you said there. I'm getting real good at reading lips. We can thank Izzy.
I had to learn.
Hello?
Oh, I heard
Now
that.
we hear you. Okay.
Stop
Great,
touching things.
Let's. Can you hear me still?
Yep. Oh, and then it went out.
Oh, Izzy called number 19 earlier, so
Yeah, I believe Izzy said she needed a cigarette before and after this reading, so I think she's doing it.
yeah.
No, can I hear you now?
Don't
Tell
worry,
how
I
you
can still
really
read
feel.
lips. We're good. Keep going.
Yeah.
I learned to read lips a long. So for me, it's just like, eh.
Hello? Can you
Oh,
hear me now?
Yeah,
yes,
we can
very
hear you now.
clearly.
I have no idea what keeps going on. It like keeps. I have trouble hearing you if it's not on my. Hello?
Hello.
Yep, still hear you. Okay.
We got ads coming up, so the break's gonna extend to the ads that are done.
Okay. I'm gonna grab the Well, for you on a second. I'm gonna go grab me a cold drink out of the fridge. Grab me the reference. Have on another screen. There we go.
Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know what's going on because there's something not going right with the microphone in my earbud. So I'm on the microphone in my laptop. So
Now, of course, it's working okay now. Now, my only other concern is if our absentee wizard is still in the chat.
I'll explain later.
It'll be fine. Gwenchana. Okay. 2 minutes. That couldn't have been planned better. No, it totally did. Oh,
We're calling it tonight.
Look, it's very rare that it's me and then Izzy and then one that we really want to hear, or it's Izzy and then it's me. You know, it's very rare because we do write in the same universe, and everybody's like 3 years later. I'm like, that's not in there. I should put that in there, but that wasn't in there.
Well, it
That's what's
won't
great.
work. It won't work if yours gets picked first. Because mine is 7 years earlier.
Right. It does make it a little bit easier of going 3 years.
Later.
How was it? How was Spam-A-Lot?
Ah.
No, it's the show Spam-A-Lot. Like based off Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Uh-huh.
It's a Broadway musical based on Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and it is absolutely fucking hilarious.
To you.
A lot of people.
Something about that movie. Just, I can't make it through it. I fall asleep every time.
God, Bitzer.
Are we back from ads, everybody? The thing disappeared from my chat box.
Yep, we are. We're back. Here we go. Number 19. In the kink community, there is a special type of event called a munch. If you immediately thought of carpets, yeah, me too. But this event shouldn't have anything to do with that. A munch is a vanilla event where kinky people can meet up and just socialize in a low pressure environment. I read that it was the recommended first time event for newbies to a lifestyle. So that's how I found myself in a stranger's house, putting on a tacky, "Hi, my name is" name tag with the name Dido in black Sharpie. This time, if you're thinking about white flags, you're right. I've been called her doppelganger, and it was my high school nickname years ago. So I decided to lean into it for my online tag I've been using for lifestyle sites. Thanks for coming along, by the way. I was nervous about going to this on my own, and I feel more comfortable with witnesses. Taking a look around the open floor plan, I was relieved to see everyone looked normal. Everyone was clothed in regular, everyday clothes you would find on the street. No random naked guy, nobody in a latex gimp suit. Oh, wait, that woman is wearing a corset and some rather intimidating thigh-high boots. That's a choice. Anyway, she's the only one, so it's mostly normal. The kitchen counters are loaded with finger foods and fast food catering boxes. The living room is set up with a massive flat screen, couches, recliners, and oversized beanbag chairs that can fit multiple people. That part is important because the theme of this particular munch is movie marathon munch. Endurance is important in this lifestyle. We need to weed out the weak somehow, a tall, thin man proclaimed to the woman in the corset. I saw the menu for the first movie in the Master of the Circlet series cycling on the TV screen. I saw an opportunity and walked over to the group with the tall man. Those better be the extended editions, I said. Oh, girl, you know it. The only way to watch them, the tall man replied. At this distance, I could see his name tag read Penne, while the name tag on the short, muscular man next to him read Talker. They didn't look anything like the famous pair of magicians, and my curiosity got the better of me. Okay, I gotta ask, is it a height thing, or does your friend not talk much? I asked. Oh, it's an inside joke. I'm Chris, and this is my boyfriend Max. We're pretty open, so we don't care much about the names. It was just funny for this event, Chris explained. So, is it going to stay an inside joke? I asked. Oh, she's bold. I like her, the woman in the corset said. We had a rather unfortunate event where we made an object disappear not too long ago. I changed my name to Broken Outlet for a few days before Maxie came up with the magician joke, Chris said. It was a plug. Don't ask, Max added. It took me a few seconds to put the pieces together before I laughed. Once I recovered, I checked out the name tags of the other two group members. Okay. Let me guess. Heroine, because you have the whole lasso lady cosplay going on, I asked the intimidating woman. While I appreciate being compared to such a strong female character, you're way off. It's because I start off as a prick, but you'll get addicted to me before you know it, Heroine said. Nice. I happen to have a fear of needles, and you're kind of intimidating, so it works on multiple levels. Now, your name tag is blank. Is that because you're shooting, you know, to clarify, the man in the long-sleeved button-up and slacks didn't have a blank name tag. It literally had the word blank written on it. Heroine let out a loud peal of laughter that drew some looks from the other attendants before she roughly patted Blank's suddenly red cheek. Oh no, he's Blank because he hasn't earned a name yet. I'm still deciding if I want to keep him, though he is growing on me, Heroine said. Sounds like his name should be Moss for the next event, then, I added. The group chuckled, and I could feel the metaphorical gates opening for me. They shifted around to allow me to join their circle, and I felt like I belonged. It was nice. We talked for a while longer before the host eventually announced that the movie was about to begin. The group pulled me over to the beanbags, and we all piled in to get comfy. There was a brief moment where Blank got on his hands and knees before Heroine stopped him. Maybe for a shorter movie sometime. No one is that strong, Heroine told him before he joined us. The lights dimmed, the movie played, and we all settled in to enjoy it. When we eventually reached the iconic scene where the group of heroes is formed, Heroine jumped up and called for a pause. The movie stopped, the lights came up, and everyone there turned to see what was happening. She pulled me to my feet, and the others in our group stood up to surround me. We're welcoming in a new member to the community, and it's the only time you'll see me kneel for someone else. So enjoy it while it lasts. Heroine announced. Sure enough, she took one knee in front of me and looked up into my eyes. If by my curves or my charms I can corrupt you, dildo gaggins, I will. You have my whip. And you have my bone, Max said as he knelt. And my ass, Chris added before joining the pair in kneeling. Even the host got in on the bit, calling from his recliner. 5 companions, so be it. You shall be the fellowship of the kink. Dun dun dun.
Oh,
Did we lose audio on everybody? Yeah, I was laughing behind my hands there. I'm coughing.
I was laughing so hard, I think I popped one of my contacts out.
That's impressive.
I'll be right back.
Is it hot over there, Izzy? Okay.
Five degrees.
85 degrees? Nice.
It was hilarious.
Julie said, hey, I want to create a writing show. Sure. Sure, we'll do that. We'll create a writing show. We'll come up with lists of prompts, the whole 9 yards.
Everybody will take it
I'll try to
very seriously.
I'll try to impart the wisdom that I have to, young fledgling writers, all while trying to write my debut novel. Sure. I'll get better at my own craft. I won't learn anything like astoundingly new.
how's that working out for you, Smalls?
Wow.
I'm gonna spin the wheel.
Yes, please.
Since I'm the only one capable of breathing right now, oh boy, following, I like the title of this one. Following that. The title is I Tried Not to Be Funny and Failed. Content warning, violence and SA. Just enough to get the point across. We've got a bunch of voices. We'll do what I can. There is nothing fairer than an honest brick. This shows little concern about how people use it. The honest stack it with mortar to protect those within and keep others out. The dishonest wield it, relying on force and gravity to do the heavy lifting for them when they direct it where it was never asked to go. Torn rags, footwear that claimed to be sandals when being called shoes felt insulting. Poverty with a wicked sense of humor. Jason used his remaining sheet, which resembled a moldy piece of cheese with all its holes, to cover up his older sister Cornelia, who sat on a stool shivering next to their mother's bed, the only bed they had. After their father abandoned them to run off with the baker's daughter, his mother had to sell their home to keep the debt collectors at bay and rent a one-room wooden shack that pretended to ignore gravity and a lack of maintenance, when it in fact knew better and let everyone inside know it every time the wind blew through the cracks. Jason's mother worked 2 jobs to provide for him and Cornelia until she collapsed from exhaustion. Unable to work, the money dried up, and so did the food and medication. Cornelia offered to earn money by selling herself to the sailors along the pier, but Jason shut that down immediately. Instead, Jason dropped out of school, which was only available to boys, and took on day labor jobs that paid in cash under the table. This left his sister at home caring for their mother. Cornelia refused to admit it, but Jason could tell his mother wasn't getting better. There had to be another reason. Reasons that cost money they didn't have to ask people who didn't care enough to ignore the price those questions required. So, how did morally conscious bricks become relevant to this broken family falling apart, stuck in a wooden box acting like a home? That is for the brick to know, and for anyone who cares enough to stick around to find out. And maybe Jason by the end of this tale. Tired from carrying sacks off a ship all day, I pushed open the wooden door, its distinctive groan announcing my arrival before I could. Though it wasn't a secret in a one-room shack. "Hi, Cornelia. I'm home. How's Mom doing?" I watched her look away from her attempt at sewing a patch on one of my pants that got ripped during yesterday's shift and glanced at our mother. Shaking her head, Cornelia said, "I helped her eat some watered-down soup, but nothing else." Noticing how she forced herself to smile pained me, but there was little I could do. Trying to cheer her up, I said, "I plan to buy some bread and a few vegetables in the market tomorrow. I heard a new shipment from the farm arrived this afternoon." Hearing stomping feet outside, I turned around in time to see the door fly open with such force that the hinges surrendered and the door collapsed to the ground. A sailor, the one who presumably used his foot to say hello, walked in. His arms were covered in tattoos, and he had a scar from his right temple to his jaw. I stepped in the way on instinct, and he looked down on me with undisguised disgust. He said, "Move, pipsqueak. Your mother owes us, and we came to collect." Fear froze me in place, and I dressed it up as courage and used my finger to poke the man in the chest. "We have nothing to give you. We can barely afford to eat." Before my courage could find another route to ensure my continued existence, the sailor grabbed me by the neck, lifted me with one arm, and hurled me into the wall. I don't know if the wall felt more ashamed of my lack of flying capabilities, or of how uncoordinated my landing was. I think my aching spine had more to complain about at the time than the wall did. Given how structurally unsound the wooden boards were, there was enough bend in the wood to save me from a worse fate. Crumbled on the ground, I could only watch as the man stood nearby, and an older sailor walked in. Bald with a long gray beard and a bandana tied around his forehead, he had a slight limp that forced him to use a wooden cane for support. Standing next to my mother, he said, "Where's my money, Scarlet?" Weak as she was, my mother lifted her head and said breathlessly, No, money, please, more time." Watching him shake his head at my mother's request, I tried to stand up, only to be pressed back down when the first man placed his boot on my chest. When I squirmed, he added more weight until we both heard something crack inside me and I bit my tongue, fighting back the scream. Cornelia, who was standing by our mother's bed, shifted to move toward me, but the older man glared at her and she stopped. Wincing from the pain, I prayed for a miracle to save my family. Just as my father abandoned me, so did my prayers. The man in charge pointed at Cornelia and said, "We shall take the girl as collateral. When you have the money, we can talk then," and turned to walk away, his cane pinging off the wooden floors with each step. I never wanted to kill someone more than I did at that moment. Cornelia screamed and thrashed, which did as much good as my flailing had when the man grabbed me by the throat. The brute gripped Cornelia's neck and forced her out of the house, tears flowing uncontrollably. Bruised and scared, I struggled to breathe as I pushed myself off the floor and dragged myself over to Mother's bed, where she lay helpless. She lay there mumbling, "My poor baby, my sweet child, not my Cornelia. Please come back to me. Someone save my poor child," while her tears were flying south for the winter to soak her pillow. Lacking any friends or family that could help, I could only lie there until I could move again without feeling like my ribs were trying to orchestrate a prison break from my body. Some might ask why I never tried telling the police in this town, and I would tell them to jump into the ocean and see how long they last underwater without breathing, because the answer would be the same. No one cares. 24 hours later, I used some of the money I had intended to buy food with and instead bought medical wrap to hold my cracked ribs in place. I kissed my mother on the forehead as she lay there asleep and said, "Don't worry, Mother. I will get her back." While I was out shopping for the wrap, I asked around about the men who broke down my door, which lost all classification privileges to the Door Association when they voted it out for poor performance. I was told, and I quote, "If you wanted to see what your outsides look like strung up from a flagpole, they're in the warehouse down the street from Pete's Fish and Hook's shop." Leaning the disgraced former door propped up where a door should be, I forced myself not to think about the fact that my mom would be alone and defenseless while I left to rescue my sister, an act that could just as easily lead to my grave as to accomplish anything worth dying for. But for fuck's sake, I would do it. My mother wouldn't last much longer anyway. It would just be my sister and I soon enough. By the time I found Pete's Fish and Hook's shop, the sun had escaped beneath the horizon and didn't have the courtesy to take me with it. Not that I would abandon my sister. I was in enough pain that any escape from reality sounded tempting. In exchange for the sun abandoning me in my time of need, life showed pity and provided a loose brick lying on the ground, ripe for the picking. Securing my rectangular prism, a term I learned before giving up on education to care for my family, I reached my destination in the dark and stared at the window by the door and said, "Well, a brick is a guest key anywhere, and this shit is somewhere I need to be." Raising the brick high above my head, I smashed the window, not giving a damn if someone heard me. And after I convinced the slices of glass left over not to cut me open, with a brick as my lawyer pleading my case forcefully, I moved inside. Choosing now to be a good time to sneak, I crept along in the dark, one hand on the wall for guidance until I could hear grunting mixed with screams and pleas from a voice I knew all too well. Cornelia, my sister. Those bastards would pay for touching her. Heart pounding, I pushed forward, ignoring the pain. Constrained by the wrap keeping my ribs in place, my breaths came out ragged. Turning around a bend, I could see light filtering through an open door. The sounds had stopped. Forcing myself to look, I saw a half-dressed man who stood at the foot of the bed with his back to me. My sister lay on the bed, shirt torn off and sheets barely covering the rest of her. Rage took over, and I jumped in the air with the brick, ignoring the pain in my chest, and smashed it into the side of his skull. He fell to the side, hitting his head along the wall. Cornelia screamed, but that would have to wait. When the man turned to face me on the ground, I held the brick with both hands and smashed it into his face repeatedly and said, "Fuck! Smash! You! Smash!" Both eyes were gone. He wouldn't have the pleasure of seeing my sister ever again. How? Smash. Dare. Smash. Teeth and blood began to fly everywhere. His screams became whimpers and unrecognizable words, arms flailing without gaining purchase on me. You! Smash! Touch! Smash! His stubby nose became malleable flesh that the brick redesigned with brutal efficiency. My! Smash! Sister! Smash! Aiming south, I ended my assault by slamming the brick down as hard as I could on their groin, laughing hysterically while my ribs disagreed with all the excess movement. I stood back up and admired my artistic talent. His eyes were no longer recognizable, teeth scattered in a failed attempt at playing hide-and-seek with the gums. I dropped the bloody brick, which turned out to be a key for more than just a building, and ran over to my sister. She pointed at the door in a silent scream. You, came the voice. Oh, sorry. You, click, bang.
That was a rough one.
I had to turn that off. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's the one thing that we always talk about, because there's the big old hot takes about content warnings, trigger warnings. Are they necessary? Are they not necessary? Just all the different things. The most important thing is that respect your own mental health. If you need to set something down, if you need to walk away from an audiobook, et cetera, do so. Do not force yourself ever into a position that makes you completely unadulteratedly uncomfortable. I did like the humor about the giving the characters, like the brick was the lawyer pleading his case.
That was very nice.
Very nice personification of inanimate objects.
Is this Zinnia?
Is it Zinnia?
I don't think it's Zinnia.
No Zinnia.
No,
You good
Zinnia.
to go again, Izzy or Kesh?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I can do it. Oh, is this the one that we got yelled at for giving them yet another whip?
I think so, yes.
Uh-huh. Not sorry. I'm not even going to pretend and say sorry, not sorry. Nope, not sorry. But you're so good at it, Bitzer. Yeah, Hades agrees. Hades agrees. Over here running his mouth. There's millions of stories in the civilized universe. This is just one of them. Technically, there's millions more in uncivilized space, but we don't get to hear them. It's not that the Galactic Alliance has a prime directive or something like that. It's too much bother and too risky to go to any pre-interplanetary civilizations just to buzz the farmers. I'm pretty sure everyone has a moment where they're convinced that their story is the most boring one that could be told. Mine should be like that. I'm an inspector. No, not like a detective. A safety inspector. Way too many people make that mistake, so I need to get that out there before we get into the gritty stuff. My job is to go places and make sure everything's compliant with the safety regs of the Galactic Alliance. Yes, I know that rhymes. So does my name and occupation. The name's Trey Vector, Galactic Inspector. The thing with safety inspecting is, if they know you're coming, they'll pull up their bootstraps. You got to be sneaky to see what's going on when they don't know they're being watched. Find out what they're doing when they think they can get away with it. There's things I can allow to slide, like inconvenient floor plans. And there's things I can't let pass, like completely missing hazard markings. I don't care if the executive hates the colors. If they're gone, they're in trouble. I really have to do this stuff on the de rigueur worlds and facilities. They're chronic offenders. Yeah, you're new to the Alliance. De rigueur is short for deregulation. It's like a religion for a surprisingly large number of Terran colonies. They believe in their whole hearts that legal restrictions will impede their sacred economies. It's ridiculous. Those laws are written in the blood of prior victims. On the other hand, the executives never work where the laws are important, and they don't care about those who do. Burials there are cheaper than prevention, and that tells you everything you need to know about de rigueur space. As you might imagine, they're the ones who do everything they can to placate, pacify, or palliate any inspection that comes their way, up to and including security measures that cost more than the safety measures they could have installed in the first place. That's de rigueur executives for you. They'd rather spend $4 billion bribing the lawmakers than $2 million on safety railings. I'm not paid to get it. I'm paid to get them. Sometimes I have to get really demonstrative on why the regulations exist. Case in point, Libertarian Mining Station Hawk Major. There's a serial number, but I honestly don't worry about them unless it's for the paperwork. Let me tell you, this station is overdue on a lot of paperwork. Substandard building materials, pathetic air refreshment systems, lack of maintenance on the impact prevention systems, and the shoddiest decompression prevention. Put it this way, the station's executive office had a literal glass door. All the locks and identification codes don't stand a chance against anything solid and heavy. And of course, the guy lived in an adjoining luxury suite. He'd arranged things so he never had to leave it. So he got the shock of his life when he walked into his office to find me going through his desk. "You don't have the authority to enter," he barked. He was the typical de rigueur CEO, showing off the kind of physique that was supremely difficult for the peons to maintain. Things like both his original hands and feet. The brand name fashion is secondary to the equation, honestly. This guy was definitely weighed in my balance and found wanting. Turns out a brick is a guest key anywhere there's an established atmosphere, though it's a very bad idea to have glass barriers in a space station. I gestured at the shattered remains of the door. That stuff isn't even bulletproof. I think someone like you would want bulletproof. You, here pronounced, scum from the bottom of a cesspit, and that's an insult to scum. "Guards!" he hollered, pressed a panic button, and had absolutely nothing happen. I grinned. "Not gonna work for you today, Bunky." I always call offenders Bunky. They have all pretentious names like Aloysius Fauntleroy von Bricklesticks or something of the sort, usually with a numeral after all of the syllables. Bunky saves me a huge amount of time. I gave your workers the Bill of Alliance rights and responsibilities, including the right to civil protest. They don't like what you've been doing, and they're headed somewhere safer to raise awareness. Though, your planet barely counts as safer in my book. That was next on my list. Bunky had his next cliche loaded and ready to fire. "What is the meaning of this?" So very tempting to give him the dictionary meaning. Dictionary entry. You have been found guilty of forcing cognizant citizens to live and work in an unsafe environment, Bunky. That's immediate seizure of assets and mandatory education in an Alliance rehabilitation facility. Please come peacefully. I'd hate to use Kung Mugi on you. So would I. It doesn't exist. Most of them are such huge cowards that they don't want to even guess at what it is. He relied on the law. I have a right to mine here and establish a mining colony here. I have the right to run it as I please because I own everything. Not according to the paperwork you signed, I told him. You're bordering Alliance space and have only signed for mineral rights. Thusly, any mining colony you establish, owned by you or not, is obligated to follow the laws and ordinances of the Galactic Alliance and the Cognizant Rights Committee. Those laws have been broken so badly that they're practically smashed to atoms. Why, you're in danger of smashing the atoms in this metaphor, and that is never a good thing. Just ask several grave worlds that are still glowing in the dark. In brief, you're in deep trouble, and it will serve you well to come along quietly. He put his hands on his head and came along complaining the entire way. At least he wasn't trying any daring escape attempts. What he didn't know was that his complaints were falling on literal deaf ears. The instant he was on my transport, I turned my external hearing support off. Just another day on the job. Dun dun dun. Yes, Bitzer, more. More. And good God, how the fuck did I say that name in one fucking go with no stutter? What the fuck?
I'm with Izzy. I want more.
The dry humor, the reminds me of Autolycus.
It's the
flippancy.
please don't make me have to hurt you. They don't pay me enough, and it's almost time for my coffee break. An HR representative will be with you shortly.
Yeah, I really like this trade vector guy. I want to hear more about his colleague Ray Tangent.
Love it.
Oh,
That's
Wheels-
Alliance. Oh,
Wheel spin.
It's getting late, folks. We're gonna knock these last ones out quick.
Yes.
Oh, Trey's female. I assumed a gender. Ace! I got it. I was asked to read this one. We return to a drill sergeant or sergeant in the military. Carter stood at her stove, frying a fresh salmon fillet when the door creaked open. She wished she had locked it earlier. She wanted him to use it, but she pushed the thought aside. She didn't want to have to replace the door either. It had been her mother's favorite style. Carter! Barked John as he entered. Come give me a hug. Gave me a heart attack today when you told me the sun had returned. Carter removed the pan from the heat and glided over to him and embraced him. She did not march in their home. Welcome home, Uncle. Supper will be ready shortly. That's Sergeant Uncle John Carter, Samantha. But I guess I'll let it slide this once. Carter released him and laughed. You say that every time you come home. She turned back to her cooking and said, Put down that ridiculous brick. A brick is a guest key anywhere, Carter. I know, but not here. You have a key. As John began to remove his boots, Carter said, A package came for you. John looked up and saw the small box on the table in the entryway. He grabbed it and ripped it open with ease. Easy there, Uncle. It might explode. John huffed and pulled out a textbook. He stepped into the living area and sat on a couch and began to thumb through the book. What did you get? Asked Carter. A history about the Royal Navy, John replied with interest. but as he examined the book further, his tone changed. With notes on the margins on dating. Who in their right mind thinks I need a date? Everyone who knows you, replied Carter as she began to set the table for supper. John set down the book and stood. I need some fresh air. He turned and opened the front door and walked out without putting on his boots. Carter shook her head and chuckled. If only his men knew. The door slammed shut, as did the end of this story. That last line was improvised by me. The door slammed shut. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. I don't know. I wouldn't wish him on my worst enemy for dating.
I just want to know what branch these folks are in. Because last week, she was sneaking into her supervisor's tent, room, office, whatever, to make hot chocolate. And then this week, she's cooking salmon fillets. So, Air Force?
Navy. It's got to be the fucking Navy.
We can't hear you anymore, Kesh.
No, they're agreeing with
Oh.
you. It's like, no, it's got to be Air Force.
Air
Like-
Force.
I didn't mean last
Air
week. I
Force.
meant last time.
No, I agree with the Air Force assessment.
I've seen some weird shit, or I've heard some weird shit from my buddies. So I mean, like, you know who we know it's not? It's not It's not Army, and it's certainly not a fucking Marine. We know it's
There's
not
a
those
reason
two.
There's a reason I never touched Air Force.
I dated one for 2 weeks. Okay, we won't go there.
You're still picking the crayons out of your teeth.
When I had to explain what the Rocky Horror Picture Show was, I knew that I was too old to be in the same vicinity, and I was only 24.
Oh. There's a request for a reader here, and it's not me.
Yes. Okay, there we go. Putting my character notes to the side here. God, killing me, Smalls. This broadcast is sponsored by Graviality, the biggest name in fashion. 6 incubi and a human lay atop a hill. Cheap paper glasses perched on all their noses like they were watching a 3D movie, except that the lenses were too dark to have seen a movie screen. Instead, they were all, save one, staring at the sun. I never thought I'd get to do this, Chorus confessed into the stillness. What? Alistair craned his neck back. See an eclipse? Yeah. The warlock had pushed his shirt up as he lay on the knoll, and his familiar, Colonel, lay curled up on Corey's bare belly. Colonel was a shapeling, and just then he was in the form of a long-haired green cat. Half of a royal blue womb mark could be seen peeking out beneath his haunches. Alistair and Tao Tao theorized that Colonel had recently taken to sleeping there because of the ambient magic the mark radiated. Chorus thought it was just because he'd grown paunchy since the pregnancy. It was a narrow thing, Volzek said. At his observation, all but one of the party lowered their eclipse shades and peered straight up. Direct overhead, a mass of charcoal gray stretched to the northwest horizon. As they watched, a streak of lightning crackled across the storm's mantle. Some 8 seconds later, they heard the rumble of thunder. Drain shivered, then dropped his shades back onto his nose with a grin. Is this, like, maybe the coolest circumstance for an eclipse? Nobody saw Temper roll his eyes. Tao Tao sat up to grab a beer from the cooler. Coolest we're likely to see. I'm still waiting for you to admit it, Corey. El smirked, tickling the warlock's love handles with his tip. Cora swatted the demon's tail. Yes, yes, the majesty of nature. Don't spoil the moment. No. El sat up and leaned over Chorus's face, lifting his shades out of the way. You wanted to go to work today. We had to all but abduct you to get you to come. Weren't we right to drag you out here with us? Everyone, almost, turned to see Corey's helpless smile. Okay, sure, that's fair. He levered himself up, rolling Colonel into his lap, and kissed Alistair on the lips. I'm glad I didn't miss this. Thank you. A mist of particle-fine rain made itself felt upon their faces. An instant later, Jason, who had been sleeping, produced a full-body spasm and gasped, "The god congealed!" Everyone was baffled. Volzek and Tao Tao started to laugh. The fuck, Jason? Elle smirked. Did you have a... Where's Corey? Jason ripped off his shades. His eyes showed naked panic. Corey, Temper, how close are we to the cabin? Everyone looked at Temper, whose mouth made a small O. Cabin? Jason's voice cracked as he snapped. The cabin by the river. The one your sugar daddy lets you borrow. Sugar daddy? Else grinned. Oh, you would, Drain sneered gleefully. Temper pointedly ignored them both. Half an hour up the highway, give or take. We gotta go, now, Jason insisted. The hell for? Groused Tao Tao, who'd only just begun on his beer. Jason tapped the side of his head. I'm having a precog. We have to go. Oh, not this again, grumbled Temper, who'd never actually been present during one of Jason's precognitive episodes. Volzek opened his mouth, probably to tell Temper to shut up, when Chorus suddenly barked an angry, "Oh, fuck!" All the incubi turned to look at Corey, so none of them saw Jason go pale. Oh, fuck, Chorus said again in bemusement. Then, before anyone could ask, he let out one final, "Oh, fuck," with a quaver that made all their hair stand on end. Guys, Jason shouted, "Van!" Volzek rounded on him. Jason, what the fuck is going on? Jason's expression teetered on the edge of misery and anxiety. It's time. Silence crashed down on the party, then shattered into a half-dozen milling bodies packing up the picnic. All right, let's go, people. It doesn't need to be tidy. Just get it in the trunk. We need to get to the hospital ASAP. No, Jason barked with uncharacteristic authority. Not the hospital. We're going to the cabin. That brought Volzek up short. He opened his mouth, but faltered, giving Temper a chance to jump in with, the hell are you talking about? This is a human birth we're talking about. He needs the hospital. Not unless you want him to die of embarrassment, Jason blazed. Temper blinked. He looked like he wanted to say something else, but... Guys... They looked at Chorus. The boy stood slightly hunched, knees clenched together. A dark, wet patch was blossoming around his crotch. Shit! Volzek made a decision. All right, the cabin. Temper, you take shotgun. Temper and Volzek both made for the car, only to be stopped by Jason's grip on their tails. No, I take shotgun, Tao Tao drives. What? Said everyone, except Tao Tao, who shouted, "Hell yeah!" How, Temper wanted to know, is he supposed to get to the cabin if I'm just backseat drive like you always do? Jason said acidly, then turned before he could retort. Drain, who was helping Elle walk Chorus over to the van, stopped to listen. Give Corey your underwear. Now it was Drain's turn to sputter. I beg your fucking pardon? Graviality is equipped with pocket dimension technology, Jason quoted. I know it is, snapped Drain. The Graviality model. That's why I wear them, and I didn't bring an extra pair. Do you really want my Great Dane flopping around the van with Tao Tao at the fucking wheel? Jason hissed out a sigh with his eyes closed. Why, he demanded of the universe, did that unholy fucking ghost have to choose me as his mouthpiece? Okay, fine, he breezed. Keep your flashy undies. Just thought you might want to save yourself having to get the car detailed because that, he pointed at Corey's crotch, is only going to get worse. The brothers looked down at Chorus. Already the wet patch had spread down to both knees. Drain gave a defeated sigh. I'll see if V wants to share his seatbelt. He passed Chorus off to Elle, then climbed past Temper into the back seat. A moment later, a pair of neon orange boxer briefs with cyan trim and the word Graviality writ across the waistband in shimmering rainbow letters was passed out the passenger door. Temper helped to steady the warlock's shoulders while Ellister got Corey out of his sodden bottoms. Don't worry, Drain, Chorus called back a little breathlessly. I'll have Colonel fly back to your apartment and grab you another pair. He gave his familiar the nod, and Colonel changed at once from a green cat to a green mini drone shaped like a fighter plane, which took off at slightly less than sonic speed. Cheers, Drain grunted. He was having a little difficulty getting the seatbelt over both Volzek's lap and his own oversizedness. Boris rubbed the silky orange fabric between his fingers. Any chance I could get these autographed later? He wasn't too far gone to feel just a little covetous. Elle snatched the boxer briefs and slid them efficiently up Corey's legs. Drain rolled his eyes, but there was a smirk on his lips as he affected an exasperated groan. Fine, we'll call it a birthday present. An irresponsibly short time later, the minivan rolled into a sleepy summer home village on the banks of the Ohio. The rain was falling in thick sheets, offering the party some cover as they parked in the grass next to a tall, narrow house of brick and plaster that wouldn't have looked out of place in New Orleans. The doors slid open almost before the wheels had stopped turning, and Temper and Chorus spilled out onto the wet grass, with Ellister bolting out after to offer Corey a hand. A moment later, Jason staggered out, purple hoodie pulled over his eyes and clutching his stomach. God, I love these winding country roads, Tao Tao declared as he slid from the driver's seat. Temper fixed him with a murderous look. Cabin, Elle prompted. Colonel descended then, now shaped as a flying saucer with a teal Graviality jockstrap in the cockpit. Chorus gave him his familiar a pat that was more of a swat. Good, Colonel. Back seat. The familiar dipped a brief nod, then zoomed into the open van. How you holding up? Elle asked, giving Corey's waist a squeeze. Chorus gave a high, ecstatic kind of whoop and jumped out of rage. Oh, great, he squeaked. Just peachy. Now get me inside before... Ah! He broke into hysterical laughter. It's gone, Temper barked. What's gone? Elle shot back hotly. The key! Temper was padding about the sidewalk left of the door, a brick held in his other hand. There's supposed to be a guest key. Oh, don't tell me we don't have a key, Ellister brayed. Of course there's a key. It's just probably... Temper squinted into the gravel on either side of the sidewalk, but it was dark as a thunderstorm during an eclipse, and he was reduced to groping about with his hand. Without a word, Corey plucked the brick out of Temper's hand, walked 3 steps to the left, and put it through the living room window. Under the heavy downpour, the tinkling of glass sounded strangely muted. What in Satan's name was that for? Temper shouted. To get inside, Chorus answered manically. At an imperious gesture, Colonel whizzed out the van and through the jagged aperture in a shapeless blur. In his shock and dismay, Temper slipped forward onto his knees and found the guest key under his fingers. His face contorted with rage as he held it up. That's what the guest key is for, he bellowed. Chorus bellowed louder. A brick is a guest key anywhere. He then strode towards the door, which Colonel threw open, grabbing Temper by the hair and pulling him along like a suitcase. Now take me to a room with no carpeting before I explode. Drain, now clad in t-shirt and teal graviality jockstrap, stopped with one foot on the ground. He let out a little huff of a laugh, shook his head, then followed Tau and Ellister inside. Volzek climbed out of the van a moment later. He paused to groan with relief and stretch out a cramp before shutting the van behind him. Turning back around, he saw Jason beneath a nearby tree. He'd pulled his hoodie off and was sitting in the soaked grass, face up and eyes closed. Volzek walked over to him and crouched down, finding it slightly quieter under the tree's umbrella. You okay, little guy? Yeah, Jason sighed, then amended. No. Volzek slid his tail over to Jason's, entwining just the tips. That was an awful lot of information you pulled in one go. Jason opened his eyes, but not to look at anything in particular. Yeah. Jason, what are you not telling me? We share a room, Jason. I know what your aura looks like when you're dreaming. You've never had a precog flash in your sleep. Jason took a deep breath and let it out. I just wanted to try and wrap my head around it before I said something foolish. I wasn't trying to hide it from you. Volzek blinked. He unwound his tail from Jason's, then bent his head so that their horns touched. I'm sorry. I know you weren't. They were still for a moment, allowing the sound of rain to wash away the tension. I saw him, Jason said at last. Corey's baby daddy. That unholy ghost thing he's talked about. The older incubus drew back with wide eyes. He appeared to you? Jason nodded. What did he say? The boy shrugged, flipping his tail to the other side and letting it flop on the grass. Not much. Not say exactly. He just showed me... He gestured vaguely at the van. That. And a bit of... He gestured at the cabin. What's about to go down in there? He shuddered and curled up behind his knees. I think I'm going to stay out here for a while. You all don't need me, and I only needed to see that once. Volzek's tail began to twitch back and forth. Do you have any idea who or what we're dealing with? There was a brief pause before Jason lifted his face up. A fucking pervert. But you'll see for yourself soon enough. Volzik wasn't given a chance to reply. Alistair ran up to the entrance, skidded to a halt, and leaned on the door lintel. Hey, V, he called in a shaky voice. I think you should see this. See what? See what? Isu, see what? See what? Because there's nothing else on this email.
See the end of the page, obviously.
A little scared and worried for Corey.
I have...
There's a reason I don't do MPreg. It was bad enough passing a watermelon, not once, not twice, but 3 times. I cannot imagine what a dude... Nope.
I have a problem with this one, and it's not just the 404. Okay. You put this man in a jockstrap. This incubus in a jockstrap. I want to point out that he referred to it as a Great Dane. Okay, that would be the equivalent of putting a T-bone steak on a hamburger bun. Ain't shit covered. We're spinning. But just marinate in that. Not the jockstrap.
I mean, unless you want to marinate in the jockstrap.
Hey, if you want to marinate in that, that's that. We don't judge here, okay? Doc. I'll take this one. It's our last long one. And that leaves a short one for whoever wants the short one. Doc. All right, here we go. Headset's off so I don't hear myself. We dashed across the familiar street. The cement oozed with traces of our childhood. Our hoodies' hoods were donned up, and our worn sneakers scuffed up the cement. There were no kids in the street at this hour, no cars zooming down the asphalt with the stereo blaring, and definitely no one out for a casual smoke. We ducked behind some bushes and looked for movement. None, just the occasional cloud coasting the moonlight. We scuttled like rogues, darting for the next cluster of bushes surrounding Amber's house. But she wasn't our target. We're gonna get caught, I groaned. Only with that attitude, he rebutted. Shush. I don't like it. Dislike to your heart's content. Don't be reckless again. Don't you want results? Yes. Then just be cool, Ren. Despite my better judgment, I relented. I looked at the roof, maybe to see if I could spot some leftover toilet paper streamers, but some nighttime spotlights went off. Topper took me by the head and shoved me down into a huddle. You're a terrible cat burglar, he hissed. I panicked, I whimpered. I should be in the comfort of my room, sipping chamomile and studying for midterms, occasionally wallowing over the library's website. Instead, I'm here, waiting until the lights shut off. When it's clear, we take the little path between 2 houses. The path started in Hawthorne, skipped over Birch, and ended by Cyrus. We used to have an Elm Street, but it got renamed after that one movie came out. The crunch of our feet against gravel is the only sound that alerts our neighbors' dogs. Topper smirked and pulled out a fresh sandwich baggie. Dog treats. He tossed a couple over the fence and Mr. Lou's dogs shut up immediately. We could hear them sniffing for the spoils. They're notorious for being startled by any little sound. Even Dad hates them, but he always pretended to be nice when I was invited to one of Becky's sleepovers. Anything you haven't thought of? How to get inside quietly, he admitted. When my eyes widened, I could have sworn they exceeded my hairline. Something small with a shadow scurried past our feet. But that's the whole point, he shrieked and dove behind me. My hero, I teased, turning to him. It's just a possum. Thought it was a skunk, he hissed. Remember the weekend camp of 2005? I smelled like tomatoes all June, he groaned. When his nose did that little scrunchy thing, I giggled. Topper pulled away and rummaged through his burglar pack. He pulled out something reddish in his hand. Then he handed me a torch, one of those ridiculously long flashlights. When we approached the house, he readjusted the backpack. Why are you helping me? I asked. Because it's fun. His hair kind of tousled when he shrugged. I've been staring at my wall for too long. I thought I was going to go nuts. I snorted. Your answer is because it's fun? All right. Don't believe me? I shook my head. We knew each other, but we weren't friends. He was Becky's friend, and so was I. I'm madly in love with you, he teased. And he smirked in that bookish way that made fangirls kick their feet. But Topper was just Topper. A 6-foot-tall, lanky college dude with wavy hair. My laugh escaped me, bouncing across the street. Me? Date Topper? He covered my mouth and shoved me behind a tree. The reddish rectangle was rough against my skin, almost brick-like. Keep it down, Topper huffed. Someone's porch lights flashed. They checked out the streets through their window, but didn't see us behind the pine tree. As the coast cleared, Topper sighed. Let's leave the questions for afterwards, yeah? He murmured. Okay, I breathed. Topper had said everyone would be at the game tonight, so it would be the easiest time to do a book heist. Easy was too convenient a word, but he wasn't wrong. Aside from one outlier and Mr. Lou's dogs, the entire neighborhood treated sports like a religious affair. People wore their socks and underwear inside out, rubbed their rabbits' feet, or chanted like their teams depended on their enthusiasm. We were only one house away from our target. It didn't matter what your house looked like on this street, but Cyrus cusped the most opaque shadows in town, and they had the creepiest stories attached to their skeletons and closets. Some people claimed witchcraft and Ouija board portals. I called it, like my Nana called it, hollyhock. This guy's house was puny in comparison to Amber's. There were some patches painted over, and Mom would have hated the garage door's color. What a disgusting shade of green. Amber hung out here? Topper threw the object without hesitation. The glass already looked like it had been maimed. Crunch. Then silence. Well, a break is a guest key anywhere, I murmured. He motioned for me to follow and approached the door. What about the alarm? No one on this street uses alarm systems. Besides, they're easy to manipulate. My throat went dry as I thought of my dad's new alarm installment. They are? If you know what you're doing, he admitted. Topper cracked the door open and let me in. He even bowed lavishly. Miss Wren Pierce, I do believe your book awaits upstairs. With a smile, I tiptoed around the glass and my sneakers squeaked across the tile. Topper closed the door behind us and already worked on cleaning duty. He was thorough. Should I be worried that he's particularly good at being a thief? How do you know it's upstairs? Because I asked Amber about her gossip about David Feld, he hummed. I froze mid-step. This is Dave's house? You know Dave? He cocked his head. Did you tutor him or something? Or something, I said quickly. He totally noticed my voice rising 3 octaves. I'll check upstairs. I didn't wait for Topper and bolted to the stairs. David. Amber was hooking up with David? She left out that little bit of info. Betrayal swiveled in my gut and down to my numb feet. Why did I always smell Cheerios when I wanted to throw up? Why was Amber hiding things from me? Amber sucked. She might be Becky's best friend, but she wasn't mine. There are 3 doors upstairs. A shaggy rug connected all 3 of them, but vertigo threatened me. I gripped the railing. Panic flooded me as the stairs creaked with footfalls. Topper, it's just Topper. Hey, are you okay? He asked. Oh, sorry. Maybe I can just ask him for the book. We don't need to trash his room. He caged me against the rails, green eyes studying me. What was this, an interrogation? You can't handle this, he murmured. Those words lit me up like fire to my ass. I can't do this? Says who? Who the hell did he think he was? I shove him off. I shove him right off me, roll my shoulders back. He wasn't so tough. I marched toward one door, then another. The master bedroom had a messy bed with some clothes thrown in piles. One room was a little girl's room, and all the toys were scattered across the floor. The third door was someone's workout room. Where was his room? Did we go to the wrong house? I whispered. No way. This is definitely the Feld residence. He shook his head. Amber, you lying dipstick. When the downstairs door creaked open, I'm pretty sure both our hearts dropped to the floor. I thought he had locked it earlier. Hell, I wish that I had locked it. We squatted and peeked from the railing as two people came into view. The shorter one was male, maybe 20s, definitely had the slow stoner, hey man, trill in his tone. Dude, we're lucky that window was already smashed for us, he said. Shut up, the other hissed. Just find that tome or whatever. She was much more butch than male, but had way more bark than the first guy. Her age was hard to pinpoint. Topper tapped my shoulder. He pointed at the door, and I aggressively shook my head no. Why were they downstairs? We exchanged wordlessly, gesturing quickly with our hands. He wanted to leave, but I refused. Let's go now. No, they'll see us. Just follow my lead. And a beam lit our faces. Topper shoved me down and we went to our bellies, but it was too late. The light followed our movement. Who are you two? The woman growled. Funny, Topper said. I was just about to ask you the same. This was not, in fact, funny. No, Tiff asked first, the man said. Tiff? As in Tiff, the college mascot? I asked. Shouldn't you be at the game? Nice going, dipstick, Tiff chided, elbowing her accomplice. The light flicked into my face. No need. Dylan's on duty. So what's this about a tome? Topper asked casually. Nothing, Tiff growled. You heard nothing about nobody. Whole lot of something to break in when our game is in-house, Topper sung. Hey, let's just go, I murmured. You should listen to her, Christopher. She knows what's good for you, Tiff taunted. No one called Topper Christopher. Not his mom or the professors. Even his baby sister called him tough. Being called a short, blonde tomboy girl's name was kind of weird, but it wasn't his full name, so he let it slide. He shot to his feet. Call me that again. I grabbed his pant leg, pulling myself into a squat. He barely flinched. Topper, let's go, I begged. If tonight wasn't weird already, the door behind us creaked open. We were just in the master bedroom, but didn't see anyone there. So how? This man was fully masked and had a flashlight. You're not Mr. Feld, he said with confusion. Neither are you, I pointed out. He nodded in agreement. You're right. Okay, what the hell, guys? Topper snapped. Is this some kind of rogue convention? The newcomer shrugged and pulled out a knife. Topper immediately stepped in front of me. Whoa, bud, let's just talk this out, okay? My name's not Bud. It's Phil. He smirked. And I just got what I needed. Dun dun dun.
Do the stoner voice again. Do the stoner voice again.
Why? Like, why do you want the stoner voice of all the options, man? You have, like, so many things you could ask me to do for voices, and you pick the stoner one? Why don't I go with the cartoon stoner guy and be like, Swing Scoob?
We're not gonna be able to breathe by the time we're done with this shit.
Last one, short and sweet. Who wants it?
I can do it. I ain't done one yet tonight.
Damn right.
They should let me lubricate so I don't cough in the middle of this.
Can we not mention?
And that's the word you chose to
yeah, I was gonna
use?
say, like, there were Great Danes tonight. Can we not? We're about to see that Gatorade everywhere. And she gone. Doesn't help that the Gatorade she was drinking was the same color as the jockstrap.
My. Prepping. And I can't even with you right now. China.
No Quinchana. No Quinchana. Okay. Throw that over there for a minute.
Tell you about it later. Because you got to read.
Okay. Time for Trisha. I gotten off work early, so I figured I would go pick up the kids from school. First, I went to the high school to get my son. He was so embarrassed to see me and my hellhound. Oh, Satan's beard, Mom. Why did you have to be here? He whined, climbing up behind me. I thought I would be nice and pick you up. Next time, I will just let you ride home with the imps, I said, heading to get my daughter from the young imp school. Mom, he groaned. Child? I said, mimicking his groan. When we arrived at the young imp school, my daughter squealed in happiness and ran over to us. Mom, you're here, she yelled as she climbed up to sit in front of me. Of course I'm here. I got up early to pick you and your brother up, I told her as we headed home. She talked the whole way home. She told me about her best friend and getting into trouble and how the teacher liked her drawing. Do you have to talk so much? Her brother grumbled. That made his sister sulk, and I gave her a squeeze and told her, I love that you tell me about your day. Really? She asked, hopeful. Yes. I love how you get excited to tell me about your day, I said, hugging her. When we got home, I dropped the kids off, then put my hellhound in the garage with fresh lava water. I went up to the house and saw the kids were not were not outside. As I got closer, I saw the door was open. When I went inside, the kids were sitting at the table doing their homework. How did you get inside? I asked. Well, Mom, a brick is a guest key anywhere, my son said nonchalantly. Oh, this kid's fixing to get his ass tore up. What? I asked, turning to look at him, or to look at the door and the window near it. Chill, Mom, I'm kidding, my son said, laughing. I used my key. I breathed a sigh of relief. I forgot we gave you a key. The look on your face was epic, my son laughed. Oh, hush and do your homework, I said, and went to start dinner. Da, da, da. Oh yeah, the kid still get his ass tore up. I don't care. Like I see up downs and washing the hellhound in his future.
Just cut up on the
Washing the
chat.
hellhound.
Okay, now on to the favorite part of the night. Now everybody loves our reading. Everybody loves what we submitted. Uh, but the favorite part for most of our people is literally the choosing of the next week's prompt. Now, if you're in chat, you do get a chance to vote, whether you're writing for it or not. If you really want to screw over the writers, you pick what you want to pick.
Right. And for those who are watching currently over on YouTube, please put your number vote in the side chat over there on YouTube, and we will add it to the totals so that we're good to go. Haven't quite perfected the poll on both sides yet.
We're getting there. It just hadn't happened yet. Yeah.
Those who are not aware, Julie does the random number generator for our 3 lists of prompts. I then pull them from there and I read them out loud. And as I'm reading them out loud, even though I'm copying and pasting, this motherfucker sits there with fast ass fingers and types it out with proper punctuation and spelling.
All right.
It's amazing.
I learned it from
You got the new
Isu's
numbers.
characters.
Yes, I got the new
Yes.
number.
You got the new numbers because I did go through today and snatch all of your suggested, your submitted writing prompt ideas to the master list.
I still take it to the highest number, the lowest of the highest numbers. That way, I only have to put that one in, and I'm not doing 3 separate lists. That's just like,
Which means anything new that's getting added in, because the lowest number is 140 something and the highest number is 170 something.
right.
So that
I-
means 30 of the most recent 30 added to the dialogue aren't a possibility to get picked.
Well, I mean, randomly, it usually doesn't end up that way anyway.
I know, but the odds should forever be in one's favor. Anyway,
19.
Real?
For real, 19. No, I just randomly come up with that one.
Concept. A character discovers a hidden garden as spring begins.
Okay. Starting first line, 80.
Use this
The garden?
line. Garden.
Talking to Documancer.
Ah.
Documancer. I can talk. I can talk. I promise I can.
Use this line. This book is sure to liquefy your brain.
Okay. And
That's a prologue waiting to happen.
right. Dialogue number 12.
I assumed you'd figured it out already. Concept. A character discovers a hidden garden as spring begins. Line. This book is sure to liquefy your brain. And 3, use this dialogue. I assumed you'd figured it out already.
Well, you assumed wrong, Batman.
I am. Oh. I knew that was going to happen.
What, that was going to be dialogue, or that we were going to have a fight between opening line and...
It's not even a fight. That's not a fair fight, even.
No. It jumped ahead real quick.
All right, we got 15.
I 100% thought that the opening line would get it.
It looks like it's going to end up being dialogue.
Oh,
Yeah.
predictable.
Well, and that's also why you all come up with such great dialogue ones, and that is our longest list. Yes, Doc, that is like it, it's a good line,
Opening line.
but it's a knife. And dialogue went, you're cute.
Oh, somebody did pick concept.
I mean, concept is a good one.
We've jumped to 18. Come on, guys, vote, vote, vote. We're almost at time.
Because you're obstinate and ornery.
Shit with you.
It's why you fit in.
Yes, Doc. Concept got stepped on.
Well, when you're that short.
Probably by a stiletto.
Cash!
It's
Dude.
I couldn't resist that one.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. No! I just saw
What?
what Nutter. I just saw what Nutter put in the writing prompts channel.
Yes'm. Oh, yes'm us. All right, winning is dialogue. I know, shocker. With 10 votes, I assumed you'd figured it out already.
And as always, all 3 dialogue pieces are in season 3 over in the Discord. If you're not a member of the Discord and you have Discord, please come and join us. We have so much fun. If you think our Friday and Saturday nights and occasional Sunday are unhinged, you should see us every other night of the week.
Plus, there's like free technical support.
Yes, you've got the TSV, you've got the TSSM, you've got the cook and mechanic, you've got the fashionista, who also does great developmental editing, helping you figure out what makes sense, what doesn't. So does Julie. I'll pick apart your grammar if you really, really want me to.
I just had a realization. We need to change your nickname.
Huh?
We need to change your nickname.
Hi.
Because the acronym.
TSSM?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know.
Unless
We'll deal with that.
you-
Let's deal with that after.
Yeah.
After,
Yeah.
so guys.
I'm gonna spoil it. Don't do it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for almost 4 hours tonight. Thank you for staying with us through all the technical issues. We will be working on that through the week and seeing what we can get done. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, why the fuck not? It's free, and that's how you find out what's going on around here. All good luck to Patrick on his last day of Ocon tomorrow. If you happen to be in the Omaha area, go see Patrick, locate him, tell him the HMPP crew sent you, and pick up one of his amazing books. He does have, I believe, the Chimera Wolf, Chimera Clan, and Kingdom of Shadows with with first edition and second edition with the 2 different covers available. Otherwise, show up on Friday for the Booked for Friday event. We will be having E.L. Grover and GT Gretz on our show for this next Friday coming up. That is same time as our usual show, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Adjust your times accordingly. If not, have an amazing week, or have at least the week you fucking deserve. Otherwise, be brave, be bold, always stay humble. Don't add to the population. Don't subtract from the population. If you get your ass fucking arrested, do assert dominance. Do not call us for bail money. But if you were arrested for a good enough reason, we might take up a collection for your commissary. Otherwise, we will see you on Friday, or on the flip side. Bye, guys.